All right, welcome in everybody to The Rant. I am Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here on the beautiful south side of Chicago. We give you all the day's headlines, hot topics, current events, anything that's worth ranting about. It is talk for the working class. We're not a politically affiliated talk show. No, we don't care. We don't carry water for the right or the left. In fact, we think both groups are absolutely insane. We represent the values of our community, the working class American community, the overlooked. Everything's about extremes. Everything's about, the craziest possible configuration of what a human is. Oh, the right. Oh, the left. Crazies all over. What about the normal people? And that's what we do a show for here. The normal people. If you support that kind of talk, well, it doesn't exist anywhere else. You can't find it on American radio, whether you're on the AM dial or the FM dial. I know this because I worked in American radio for a very long time. And, they've made the metric equation that they can just sell out to a very specific demographic. Talking about Cumulus, Clear Channel, Odyssey, whatever you want. The major talk broadcasters in this country, they've decided that the only people listening to old-timey radio anymore are old-timey people, and specifically men. They want old-timey men. And if we're being honest, because advertisers are involved, they want old-timey white men. That's what they want. They want the white man on his way to the country club. That's what talk radio has decided their sweet spot is, their target. So that's what they do. They do conservative, right-leaning talk that appeals to white guys on their way to the country club. And that's all it's been for years. It wasn't always that way. Community talk used to be about everything affecting the community. It had nothing there was no lens of, well, I'm a patriotic Republican, so this is how I feel about. No, that was all nonsense. We all just felt the way we felt about stuff. That's what I'm trying to do here. Regular talk for regular people, working class people who can't afford the bullshit of carrying water for either the right or the left. Because have you seen gas prices? Please support this show. Nobody else does. I got to tell you, it's 13th day of the month. We're still raising money for June around here. I don't know what has happened this summer, but the bottom has fallen out of this show being funded. We rely on your tips, your gratuities. This is a show that doesn't take advertising, that doesn't have the audience for advertising. So it's just about us, those, a few, about 100 a day that absorb this show. We've been getting together every day for 5 years. And if you want it to keep going, you got to drop something now. I can't say it anymore. Seriously, we have not hit our goal in 4 months. That's right. We're not going to do it for August. We didn't do it in July. We didn't do it in June. And we sure as shit didn't do it in May. I thought May was an anomaly. I was like, that's okay. We'll rebound in the summer. But no. So if you support this kind of talk radio and you like this kind of approach to public discourse, please support what I'm calling independent working man radio. Drop a little something. And by the way, let's take a moment now and talk about our August heroes. We do have some heroes. These are the people who have tipped the show in August, 13 days. We got like 5 people. By the way, Peter has tipped, like, I can't even count how many times Peter has tipped this month already. Peter is picking up for all of you. Like, all of you people in the chat room, you better take your fucking hats off when Peter walks down the hallway, because that guy's picking up for a whole lot of people. Okay? So thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. As I say, though, we are in panic mode. The show is worth. Are you ready for this number? Are you ready for the number? I'll show you right there on the Venmo. This is what the show is worth. So when I tell you we're panicking this month, remember our bills are about $500 a month. Here you go, guys. This is what this show is worth at the moment. Hold on. Here you go. There it is. $28. $28 is what this show is worth. So when I say changes have to come, 5 years, the show's worth $28. So please, if you support this kind of talk, if you listen every day, if you're in the chat room every day, now is the time. It's desperation time. Help the show, please. My God, Peter dropped $25 yesterday. Peter dropped 25. You see, we're down to 28. Peter dropped 25 yesterday. I immediately went to the fucking grocery store. Immediately. So that's how we're running things around here, and that is not sustainable. But in the meantime, we're going to continue doing talk because this is love of the game stuff. I got to do it. I missed 2 shows this week. I missed Tuesday and Wednesday because of the crazy internet situation that we were having here. We got some storms. Maybe you heard, maybe you've seen some of the videos. Chicago got absolutely walloped, crushed, if you will. The internet's been shitty ever since. Today we are doing it via oh, no, I didn't do that. I'm sorry. I was going to try and hotspot today. Yesterday, we were hotspotting the show, and, well, you see how that worked out. We had to cancel the show, so that sucked. By the way, thank you to our August heroes. These are the people who have stepped up and supported this kind of talk radio. So, you know, if it ever comes to the point where, you know, I'm hustling blowjobs behind a Walgreens, these people are not the ones to blame, okay? Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Barney. Thank you, Big Al. Seriously, those are the people who supported this month. And I get it, man. The economy sucks. This whole country's going down the tubes, which is why I think we need my voice more than ever. God, I'm so full of myself. All right, thank you to our heroes here in the month of August. And hopefully we'll add some more to that because time is of the essence. I know you're all getting fucking paid tomorrow. My God. Anyway. Help out the show if you can. That'd be great. All right. A lot of stuff we got to get into today. Oh, my God. You guys, you have no idea how upset I've been the last couple of days not being able to do a show for you. I had full shows. So what we got here today is like 3 days worth of show. 3 days worth of things that I'm like, I got to mention that. So we're going to get to it today. Let's say hi to our chat room. We do like to reward the first 3 people in the chat room every single stinking day. Those are the people who I like to imagine are lined up out in front like it's a Target store the day after Thanksgiving and we're about to open. Who are the first 3 people into the chat room for today? We call it the podium. Al is number 1. Mike is number 2. And there he is, Peter. What would this damn show be without Peter? You know, I was looking at that sign behind me, the Pugs and Company sign, and I was a couple of days ago. And I was thinking to myself, I go, that's the nicest thing that I own. That is the nicest thing that I own. I came from Peter. Peter, who just supports this. If God, I wish Peter was a billionaire. Peter was a billionaire and this show would be sitting clean. So thank you to everybody. And mostly, thank you to all our heroes here in August, the people who have helped the show out, the relentlessly supportive people who are named right there. So thank you guys. You're the best. And thank you to Peter for my sign and everything else. I just don't know what to say. All right, so the first 3 in the chat room, the podium, drinking from the comically oversized champagne bottle. It's Al in first place, Mikey D in second place, and, of course, Peter there in third. Say hi to more. I did it again. Fat fingers. Fat fingers. I hate when I do this. Remove. Can we go back to normal? No. Remove. Oh, my God. You know what I think it is? Here's what I think it is. I don't think it's Restream's platform that's the problem. I think I need a bigger screen. I think my screen is the problem. I think that I'm just like constantly having to move stuff around. Who else do we got in the chat room? Following the first 3, we've got Jen. Hi, Jen. We got Leslie. See ya. We also, and Peter. Peter's going off. Hold on. Peter says, I was in a completely different chat room for today's show, an alternative universe. Well, what's going on over there, Peter? Who's over there? Nobody, probably. That's why Peter came over here. We said, Al, who's this? Oh, Jesus, look at this. See, you know, I used to look at this and I used to think, you know, this is a good sign. I used to think, oh, look, we're getting some interest from somewhere. This is from Twitch. We got nobody over there on Twitch. You know, because I don't live in a bubble. That's what I've been watching a lot of Twitch shows, and I'm like, oh my God, these people are all nuts. They're all nuts, including Maddie, who you should really be checking out her stuff. She's doing special nut stuff. So this guy's like, he's pushing something. He's not listening. He's not being affected by this conversation that we're having today. I can't with him. All right, let's see who else. We've got Adam here. Adam, good to see you. Estes Acqui. No idea. No idea. Look at this. Do you see this? This is about as pasty as it comes. I'm a white man. I have no idea what that language is, but Adam's here, which is good. Let's see. Did it again. Did my fat fingers thing again. Taronda. Oh my God. Taronda, usually you are represented way earlier in the process. It's good to see you. Taronda's here. Taronda's here every day. We've got Maddie. The aforementioned Maddie. You can find her over there on Twitch, anti-libfem. Who's this? Tom's here. Tom's my old buddy. He's like, what? Like, what, Tom? You can't just say what? What? Well, what up, Pugs? Oh, now we got it. What up, T? T. Did I ever call you T? You were never called T. You were Beller. It's Beller. Hey, we're going over to Beller's house. It was never T. Omelets. What are we just throwing out random food items? Is that what we're doing now? Omelets? All right, Al. All right. As more people filter into the chat room, we look forward to having an absolutely spectacular show. Once again, I do need to remind you, though, this show does run on your tips, so we're going to hammer this hard. We need help. $28. Did you see that? Like $28. Okay, so I'll leave this up as we run into what we're going to talk about today. Oh my God, you guys got so much stuff. Okay, we're going to do the regular nonsense. I got a dick of the day for you. Who's our dick of the day? I had to switch out our dick of the day. Oh yeah. Our dick of the day. You know, I know I say when I do dick of the day, I don't like to really, I don't like it's never going to, I don't want to say never, but it'll probably rarely be people like Trump, right? Rarely dick of the day. Dick of the day is usually a segment that I'm going to reserve for, people like us, people that walk amongst us. But today we've got a celebrity edition. Dick of the day. If you've never heard my rants on Anthony Anderson, Anthony Anderson is filling in for Jimmy Kimmel, and he's up there. He said, look, I'm all for the whole Jimmy Kimmel kind of approach to relentlessly humiliating the president. I'm for that. Because although this show is not political, you know that I hate that guy. That guy sucks. That guy sucks, man. As a human being, I don't know from politics. As a human being, that guy sucks. Okay. So I'm all for the sort of Kimmel approach to amplifying, the whole that guy sucks attitude. But they got guest fill-ins. They do this when Jimmy needs his vacation. I haven't had a vacation in 5 years, okay? And I promise you, I work a lot harder than Jimmy fucking Kimmel does. Excuse me, can't say the F word anymore. Can't say the F word anymore. I've got to mainstream this for some radio auditions I'm doing. That was not good. Yeah. Oh yeah. $28 in the Venmo gets you applying for radio jobs. You kidding me? You want me to go pro MAGA? I will go so hardcore MAGA. I will show you people exactly how the game is played. I'll show you what a fraud half these people that you listen to and that they're all, do you know how many friends I know who were like shock jocks, who were sports guys, who were rock jocks, who just, there was an opening for a talk guy and now they're like MAGA crazies. They're not really. They're just doing it for a paycheck. It's all a game, and I can play the game. Anyway, Anthony Anderson is going to be our dick of the day because he's filling in for Jimmy Kimmel. And, oh, my God, the nerve on this guy. The nerve. Yeah, we're going to revisit Anthony Anderson's checkered past. That's our dick of the day. Also, big stories. Like, I'll tell you what I want to talk about today. As a working man. As somebody who, as I say proudly, carries no water for the man on either side of the aisle. I like to just sit here and go, you know what? I'm as smart as both of these sides of people. I can figure this out. I can have an opinion, and it doesn't need to be, because that's what political parties are for. It's groupthink. It's a hive mind. It's so that you don't have to concern yourself with all those things, and you can just go with, well, what do we say about this? What do the people at my church say about this? It's what it is. It's what political parties are. So as somebody who's sort of floating around in the middle, I have been captured a little bit. My attention, I'm piqued in this whole DSA thing. I'm not saying I'm a DSA guy. I'm just saying as a working man, let's listen to what they have to say without being distracted by all the nonsense like that whack job up there in Wisconsin. Yeah, Francesca Hong. We're going to talk about that. The DSA lost narrowly in Wisconsin, running a candidate who is so batshit nuts, couldn't be elected dog catcher in Crazy Town. That's who Francesca Hong is, and she almost won. She almost won the... So let's talk about what's going on with the DSA. I mean, she didn't win, which is good, because she's crazy as a shithouse rat. That's what she is. But what does it say about somebody who's clearly crazy as a shithouse rat being able to get within, what, 2-3 points of David Crowley, who was the winner of the Democratic primary? Get within 2-3 points in Wisconsin, okay? This isn't New York. This isn't one of the elite. This is Wisconsin. This is statewide in Wisconsin. So we'll talk about that. I have the platform of the DSA. None of the bullshit, none of the stuff that you hear from everybody. I have the platform. We'll read what they believe, and we'll see, as working people who maybe are tired of carrying water, working people, whether or not it resonates with us. So we'll take a look at that today. We're also, because I've been chomping on this all week, I'm gonna go for this one. This is gonna be interesting. Although I don't think there's gonna be any surprises. I'll tell you what's gonna happen, and you'll see it play out exactly as I predict. 30 years later, the Tupac Shakur trial is about to start in Los Angeles. Yeah. 30 years after Tupac was shot there after the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight, September of 1996. Tupac Shakur, of course, iconic hip-hop star. Would he be Ja Rule if he didn't die? Right? We sort of reward premature deaths with icon status. Like, quite frankly, can I call bullshit on a couple of these American icons? James Dean was a nothing. James Dean was an absolute nothing. He made 3 movies. Why do we still have posters of him? He made 3 movies, man. James Dean. Who else died young? I think Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain might get a little bit of that. Nirvana was good, but I mean, come on. Jim Morrison? Jim Morrison? Really? He's an icon? The Doors were mid at best. Oh my God, what did he say? He said the Doors were mid at best. Why, that goes against all the programming in rock and roll history. All right, so we'll do that. We'll talk about what else? What else do we have? The DFW situation. I want to talk about the bathrooms. Here at DFW Airport, they're putting in Muslim foot washing stations there at DFW Airport, and people are freaking out about it. So that's funny. So we got all of that and more today on a jam-packed, all gas, no brakes rant for this fine Thursday, August the 13th. Let's see here. What do we want to do here? All right, let's get started. Yeah, let's just do this. All right, let's run down the top headlines. All the stuff that's worth mentioning. This is a new thing we're going to do at the start of the show, because sometimes I feel like we didn't really touch on the things that are being blasted, all over. So let's run through them. Number 1, the big story in the top headlines, White House press secretary steps down. Carolyn Leavitt is stepping down. Trust me, we're going to do this story, okay? We're going to do this. We're going to do more on this, but everything that I have to say about Carolyn Leavitt is going to be significantly influenced by the fact that I am a heterosexual, red-blooded American man. Man, do I like looking at her. Just put the sound down. You got to put the mute down because it ruins everything. But man, we'll talk about Carolyn Leavitt and what's behind this. A woman scorned, man. I'm telling you, a woman scorned is what's going on. Carolyn Leavitt is walking. Let's see. Also, the U.S. remains on high alert during ongoing tensions with Iran. President Trump has recently noted that the U.S. is low-keying negotiations. This following previous threats of massive military strikes against Iran. So nothing really to report against Iran. We won't be touching on that story again. We got more information here. New reports have revealed extensive security protocols involving the decoy situation of Air Force One from 2 days ago. We were going to talk about that yesterday. The Air Force One, what was it that I liked? The catering truck cuck or whatever is something that I heard. I thought that was funny. So there was a threat leaving Turkey last month, or maybe a couple. I got a fly here. I don't know why I got so many flies. Because of stink. That's why. So there was a threat against Air Force One. We've known about this since it happened. They said, oh, we had to switch planes. But apparently there was a whole rouge in effect. So people got left behind. So people got left on the plane they thought was going to be attacked. And boy, oh boy. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that primarily as it pertains to the Carolyn Leavitt situation, because yes, those two stories, the Venn diagram, much overlap. The FBI has arrested 11 individuals in New York as part of a sweeping international marriage fraud crackdown. Federal prosecutors are calling it one of the largest marriage fraud prosecutions in U.S. history, designed almost entirely to illegally bypass immigration laws. What are we doing? What are we doing? That's how we upped the hot chick factor in this country for generations. Super rich guys would buy mail order super hot Russian chicks, introduce them into the American, and then we had hot chicks. That's what this is about. This is about, is this really, we've seen movies about this, right? Now it's a problem. It used to be the topic or the premise of beloved rom-coms where a guy marries a chick, just so she can stay in the country or otherwise. Anyway, different times, folks. No more rom-coms, right? This is now an ICE jurisdiction. Massive multi-state marriage fraud indictment goes down. Let's see here. Had a military helicopter crash at Fort Hood, right? Okay. It says military helicopter crashed and caught fire in central Texas, resulting in the deaths of 2 pilots. An investigation into the cause of the fatal crash is currently underway. Navy sailors attempting to jump ship mid-deployment. We're going to talk about this story too today. Reports indicate that several sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln have attempted to jump overboard out of desperation. The incident highlights growing mental health struggles and extreme stress among crew members dealing with indefinite extended Middle East deployments. Also today, we're going to get into the thing I've been teasing the last couple of days, which is this really interesting and sort of succinct breakdown of the differences between the multiple generations that are occupying current society. And maybe these succinct one-line breakdowns of what these generations are all about might help us to understand why everything is so screwed. And I read this story about Navy sailors jumping overboard, and I wonder, is that something the World War II generation would have done? Or is this just, we're more in touch with our mental frailties, and which I'm all for, but we'll talk about that. And inflation is really bad. Okay. So those are the top random stories. Excuse me, here come the hiccups. I hate when I get the hiccups. Is that okay? Is that a new segment? We start every day with some random headlines. I don't know if that's something that you guys want, but we don't have to spend time on everything. But I do feel, that we need to talk about some of the things, or at least mention them. Kevin, my boy Kevin in the chat room, he says the rumor is that she quit because Trump left her on Air Force One to be potentially shot down. He's talking about Carolyn Leavitt. Yeah, we're going to get into that. A woman scorned, man. It's not so much that she left him behind. It's who he didn't leave behind. Who did Trump take with him in the escape pod, leaving everybody else to die, which is so funny. It's funny that people are upset about that aspect of it. It's funny to me that people are like, Pearl Clutch, can you believe that he left the press and all of his staff on the decoy plane when they thought there was a serious threat against the plane? Yeah, I totally believe that. And we're talking about Trump. That guy's a dickhead. The guy's a complete asshole. He demands loyalty, like blind loyalty from everybody, and then he just doesn't give a shit in return. This is who he is. This is why, again, I don't go into the politics of it. He's a piece of shit person. He's a jerk off. Could you imagine riding in the back seat of a car with this guy on a summer trip to Florida? No way. He would be the worst. Ugh. But yeah, that's funny. So we're gonna get into that. Let's see. Peter says he loves the random headlines. All right, just a way to kind of get us all caught up. There you go. All right. Let's see. Let's get into. Well, let's do the top story. Carolyn Leavitt. Let's do it. Let's do Carolyn Leavitt. First of all, I don't think we can start a Carolyn. We have to have context, right, for Carolyn Leavitt. So let's do that right here. Here she is, White House former or outgoing, I guess we'll call it, White House press secretary, 27-year-old Carolyn Leavitt. Here she is. These pictures will probably explain how she got her job. Here she is. Look at her. Oh, she's fantastic on the left there. That's probably a month. That's like a month. She's got 2 kids. I don't know when this is. Maybe this is recent. She looks like she's had a baby. But that's okay, man. That's okay. Outgoing. This is why she's got her job. Look at her. Look at her. People are like, she's the best press. What? What are you talking about? She gets up, she looks hot, and she lies through her teeth. And she is an apologist for an historically bad human being. What do you mean she's the best press secretary? She is gorgeous, though. She is just undeniably gorgeous. Look at her. Oh, my God. Who's that on the right? Because that's Carolyn Leavitt on the left. There she is there with her little kid. She's married to like an 80-year-old. Hold on, I got to get that right. How old is 27-year-old Carolyn Leavitt's husband? All right, he's 60. All right, that ain't so bad. 32-year age difference. I got to be honest, as somebody who's in his mid-50s and looking at Carolyn Leavitt, I really can't really have that much of a problem with it, if I'm being honest. Hey, the only people who have a problem with like a 60-year-old guy being with a chick like this are people who can't get a chick like this. There are no other 60-year-old guys who have means and ability and are single that have a problem at all. So just knock it off. Jealous. Okay. Let's see. More of Carolyn. I just want to appreciate what we're losing here at the White House. She is just fake boobs. No judgment. I'm fine with it. Jesus God, she's just always whatever. She's not shy. And when you look like this, why would you be? Can't believe that this woman is in charge of messaging for the most powerful man in the world. All right. Anyway, there she is. Let's just keep a look at her there. We'll leave that one. That's a nice one. She looks nice there, doesn't she? Oh. Hold on. All right. Let's get the story up and going, right? Let's get into this. Carolyn Leavitt, a woman scorned. That's what we think is going on. All right. Here's the story. White House press secretary Carolyn Leavitt is stepping down from her role after 20 months in the position. President Donald Trump announced her departure, stating that she is leaving to focus on her young family, triggering questions and speculation regarding her replacement amid historically low approval ratings for the president. Yeah, historically low. He's down to like 32%. I'm like, who the hell are these 32% of inbred weirdos? I was saying that when it was like 40%. I'm like, who are these people? I mean, really, I understand rooting for your team through thick and thin. I understand ride or die out of like tradition, but what the hell, people? 32%. All right. So here's what's interesting about the Carolyn Leavitt departure. She is incredibly high profile, probably the most high profile because she's the one that speaks to the world every day for the president. Let me show you something. Let me show you what I deal with. Don't worry, we'll get into this. Let me show you what I deal with. So here are my notes. This is I'm always on another page doing notes. Right in the middle of this segment, Google signed me out. Right in the middle, for no reason. I'm on the page. I'm working on the page. Google fucking signed me out. Why they do that? I don't know. Thanks, Google. Hold on. Verify it's you. Okay, fine. Sorry, you guys. I got my notes. I got to go back to my notes. There we are. All right, we're back on. We're back up and running. Very good. However, we do need to put Carolyn Leavitt back up there because there is really no reason. Hold on. Is that the one we want to stick with? Let's see. Man, I mean, she's just too good looking for the job, right? Yeah, we'll leave that one. Well, now it should be a solo. She's short, huh? Carolyn Leavitt's tiny. I don't know what her background is. It's probably terrible. Let's leave this one. There we go. We'll leave this one. There you go. As we get into her, she's unbelievably gorgeous. I seriously, I look at her, and I from the first time I saw her, I looked at her and I went, there is no way they got a spokesperson who is more attractive than Kayleigh McEnany. Do you remember Kayleigh McEnany? She's awful. But she 10 years ago, she was something. She's slid. She's now, I don't know what's going on with her. Her face is kind of sunken in and she looks more skeletal, but whatever. But Kayleigh McEnany used to be gorgeous. And I used to be like, well, this is going to be fun at least. The messaging is going to come from somebody who's just incredibly gorgeous. And then she left and they went hard right with Sarah Sanders. Or no, did Sarah Sanders, was she before Kayleigh? Whatever. I think yes. It was that Sean guy. Remember that he was the first one? Largest crowd for an inauguration ever. Remember that guy? I don't remember his name. Thank God I don't remember that guy's name because he doesn't deserve a place in my brain. He was replaced by Sarah Huckabee, right? Remember Huckabee? And I think Trump was like, yeah, I like Huckabee, but I can't stand looking at her. Honestly, I think that's what Trump was about. He was like, yeah, why don't we get her out to Arkansas, have her run for her daddy's old seat, and let's get some hot trim in here. And then we had Kayleigh McEnany. But Kayleigh McEnany went away, and then who do we have after her? I don't even know. I don't even know the order. All I know is they upped the game with Carolyn Leavitt here. Gorgeous. Now, what's interesting about her being so high profile and leaving is that typically in these situations when somebody leaves, they say, at the end of the year, I'm going to be leaving after the midterm elections. I'll be leaving at the start of August or March or October, I suppose. Right? It's usually like that. It's usually off in the distance to sort of convey an idea that there is no problem. Everybody's fine. We're going to be very happy seeing her around here for the next couple of months, even though we know she's leaving. That's typically how it's done. That's not how this was done. 2 weeks. She gave her 2 weeks notice. She's out. She's out. So you got to wonder why. Why? Well, this whole administration is all about how things look. Optics are just look at her. Optics. She embodies optics. This is not prime optics. These are not good. People are wondering what the hell's going on. And as Kevin said earlier in the chat room, we might have a reason. I'm telling you, it is absolutely the reason. As my little headline here says, a woman scorned. So what happened? Well, I'll tell you. So let's go back to the decoy plane story, right? So we know the story about a threat, a credible threat as judged by the Secret Service and all of our security apparatus. I don't know what that entails. I imagine it's more than the Secret Service. But there was a credible threat against the president and Air Force One as it was expected to depart from Ankara there in Turkey after those meetings he went to a while ago. Now, I didn't tell anybody. Apparently, they told the president, but they didn't tell anybody else about the threat to Air Force One. So this is where the whole, Trump, we've seen the video of Trump being snuck off into the catering truck, crammed in the back, and then driven to another plane, an Air Force plane that was actually going to fly the president of the United States out of Turkey under threat. The other plane, the Air Force One, the one that he was supposed to be on, was left to business as usual. Just whatever the threat is, let's see, but the president won't be on it. You know who was on it? Press. You know who was on the decoy plane that was allowed to take off under threat of whatever? Carolyn Leavitt. Carolyn Leavitt was left on the decoy plane. Now, this was revealed by the Washington Post on Tuesday. On Wednesday, she quit. Trump left her on the decoy plane. She's a mother of two. She just had a baby. She just came back from maternity leave. She's like, I have spent the last 20 months of my life just saying the most unbelievable bullshit with a straight face and a fucking pageant girl smile. And this man leaves me on the fucking decoy plane. But it gets worse. Because he took Natalie Harf. he took first of all, I don't know, dudes get older. Here's what happens. Have you ever seen like a together old man, together, I mean a little bit of money, not like a billionaire or anything, but a little bit of money. You ever seen like an old guy and he's got a younger girlfriend and she's like significantly younger, kind of like, Carolyn Leavitt and her 60-year-old husband. So, and you see them out in public, like at the mall, and you're like, oh, is that a grown ass man and his ugly daughter? Or are they together? My point is this. A lot of times when dudes start to get older, they start to only be interested in the fact that she's younger, that's the appeal. Makes me feel young. I'm with a young woman. And so looks kind of slide, right? Like you'll be out at the mall and you'll see like a 70-year-old guy with a 30-year-old girlfriend. And you're like, ew, she's not good. She's not a good 30-year-old. I think that's what's happening with Trump, because Trump's got this Carolyn Leavitt. And now he seems to be wholly focused on this Natalie Harf girl. And she is, if Carolyn Leavitt is a 10, this Natalie Harf is a 5. There's no comparison. No comparison. But whatever, that's just me. I think he's slipping in this old age. I think that Trump has had sexual relations with some of the most undeniably gorgeous women of his entire life. Like, he's probably never had sex with anyone less than a 9, Trump. Probably, right? Why would he? He would never have to. So that all becomes relative. It's kind of to me like John Lennon hooking up with Yoko Ono. John Lennon could have gotten way physically more beautiful women than Yoko Ono, but he didn't want it because he had transversed that level of superficiality and was now looking for and engaged in things other than just beauty and attraction. And he fell in love with Yoko Ono because she was weird and he liked weird, and that was hot to him. Why did weird become hot to him? Because he could get whatever he wanted. He was a freaking Beatle. I think a lot of this is kind of like Trump. I think Trump likes that this Natalie Harf chick seems to be so completely subservient to him that he doesn't really care that she's not nearly as hot as his old girlfriend, Carolyn Leavitt. That's the base of this. Carolyn Leavitt is pissed that Donald Trump is now showing favoritism to Natalie Harf and not her. And she's also pissed that this has been made public by the fact that she was on the decoy plane and Natalie Harf wasn't. Harf? Here, I'll show you this chick. She's got like those weird Egyptian eyelash kind of a things, but this is the girl that you always see. It's Harp. This is the girl that you always see next to Trump. She's got weird eyes. She's got weird, crazy OAN network eyes. And I think that's where she came. I think she was like a reporter for OAN. I don't know what that is. Isn't that like some weird Trump news station that I've never seen? I don't know. All right, let's check out this Natalie Harf chick. This is the new one. Not she's not been named spokesperson. I don't know that she is. Look at this. This is a decline from Carolyn. She looks mean. She looks like a dominatrix. She looks like an Amish dominatrix with Egyptian-styled eyeliner. Her eyebrows. She's nothing. This is an old man who just, look at that. That is not Carolyn Leavitt. Okay, anyway, Trump smuggled her in the catering truck to safety, leaving Carolyn Leavitt on the decoy plane. And forget about all the other stuff, the nonsense, whatever it is. She wants to spend more time with her family. That is all bullshit. Carolyn Leavitt is pissed at Trump, and they better do what they can to get her in line, because there ain't nothing worse than a woman scorned. Look forward to her interviews around, Christmas time? Or maybe before I don't know, how vengeful will she be for this? Will she attempt to tank before the midterms, or will she wait like a good soldier? I know that she's still crazy, right? That's not going to go away. But doesn't matter. All right. Carolyn Leavitt, we're going to miss you. She'll probably end up on news or something. She's only 27 years old. These are the people that are interesting to me. She's only 27 years old. She theoretically could have 30, 40 more years left in the public spotlight. The way she's established herself at 27 means that she will be a name at 37. She will still be somebody that people know at 47. She was the spokesperson for one of the most provocative and scandalous presidencies in history. She's not going anywhere. She's going to have to live with the things that she did between 24 and 27 years old. So how do you fix that? I've said this a lot about these young people who are doing such obviously degenerate type things in the name of this crazy old coot. I've thought about these people a lot. Where do these people go? Let's talk about Carolyn Leavitt. She's 27 years old. 20 years from now, history is not going to have a very good view of all of this, and she's going to be 47. Is her life now going to be tied to fringe organizations and fringe? Because all this MAGA stuff is going to be fringe. It's going to go fringe. The pendulum will swing back. You people will all be embarrassed. I've said to my son, his whole life growing up, I said, look, man, we never talk politics, me and my kid. I don't talk politics. The most political I've ever said to my son is that when you are older, you will look back on this time and you will remember the adults who were where. That's all. You'll remember the adults who were on the right side of history. All of our children have that, right? Grandpa MAGA, that might not look good. That might not look good to a kid, in a couple of years. Like, oh, you were with Hitler. Trump ain't Hitler, okay? Can we just clear that right there? Trump ain't Hitler. Trump is worse. Well, maybe not actually worse. Trump is just emotionally worse. He's an emotional Hitler. Let's talk about what's going on there in Iran. This was the big story yesterday. A bunch of people are jumping off the USS Abe Lincoln. The USS Abe Lincoln has set a record for deployment. It's been out to sea 209. Hold on, let me get the exact number. 290 something days or something like that. Hold on, here we go. All right. This is sad. This is this is our 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds out there floating in a tin can for 300 days, almost an entire year. Here's the story. This is, again, the USS Abe Lincoln that has been out there on a record-setting. Reports indicate that multiple U.S. Navy sailors have attempted to jump overboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. These reports follow a grueling record-breaking deployment tied to ongoing military operations in the Middle East. Military publication, by the way, this, again, just so we know, just let's be clear about sources. I think citing sources is very important here. This story wasn't broken by the Washington Post. This story wasn't broken by CNN or MSNBC or some anti-Trump group, right? This story about sailors jumping overboard of the USS Abraham Lincoln was put out by Stars and Stripes. That's right. A magazine that Pete Hegseth has editorial control over. Stars and Stripes broke the story, citing interviews with multiple sailors and their families. At least 2 separate sailors reportedly tried to leap from the carrier deck. In one instance, a sailor's spouse stated that her husband had to physically grab a fellow crew member and pull them back onto the deck to stop them from jumping. Family members of one sailor who admitted to jumping confirmed that he has been placed on a medical hold while expressing deep concerns that his 13-year military career could face dishonorable discharge. The extreme psychological strain on the ship's 5,000 sailors and Marines stems from unprecedented operational lengths and deteriorating onboard conditions. Months ago, we did this story about conditions aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. A meme went viral showing a picture from a U.S. sailor on the USS Abraham Lincoln. He took a picture of his food, put it up there on Instagram or whatever. It was awful. It was a prison tray with gray meat and some kind of red slop. Our soldiers, the most powerful defense, the most powerful military in the world, the largest defense budget ever. And we are feeding our sailors gray meat and gruel. This was months ago. And by the way, that post was made worse when it was shown side by side with a meal served to French sailors on a French carrier. That meal looked amazing. That meal, the side by side, what our Americans are being fed and what the French are feeding their people is humiliating. Superpower my ass. Disgusting. We're treating our military like they're prisoners. The ship departed San Diego. This is how long they've been out. The ship, the USS Abraham Lincoln, departed San Diego back in early November of 2025. Was abruptly rerouted to the Middle East. Excuse me. It has surpassed 250 consecutive days at sea without making land, setting a modern record for a U.S. aircraft carrier. The deployment was scheduled to end on the 1st of May of 2026, but combat extensions have left the crew with no publicly announced return date. Family members have viralized photos. Is that a word? Viralized? Family members have viralized photos and reports outlining severe food rationing, supply shortages, moldy showers, plumbing failures, and water contamination issues. A massive laundry room fire back in March also forced 600 crew members out of their bunks for extended periods of time. All right, so we've seen the pictures, we've heard the stories, and now we've got actual reports of sailors jumping overboard to escape the hell that's been created there on board the USS Abraham Lincoln because the government has no plan. The U.S. Navy and the Pentagon spokespeople have denied an overall increase in suicide attempts or suicidal ideations aboard the ship. They insist that the vessel maintains continuous access to clean water, functioning air conditioning, and healthy food choices, while emphasizing that chaplains and deployment resilience counselors are actively supporting the crew. Now, you know me. I'm all for having, licensed and trained therapists around to just help you get your head straight when you need to get your head straight because, as I always say about therapy and mental health awareness, there are tools out there. So I'm all for this. So when I read that, there are what we're calling, what are they calling them? They're calling them deployment resilience counselors. When I read that, I go, that's bullshit. Although maybe for the military, that's what you need. I mean, you don't want military guys being in touch with their feelings, right? But the way it's worded here, deployment resilience counselors. These are not therapists. Okay, these are not people there to help you. These are people that are there. This is like on Wall Street. They have in-house therapists for when, traders are having a little bit rough go of it. They can go and they can sit with this therapist. This is not a therapist that is going to try and help them mentally. This is a therapist that is going to try and get them tuned up so that they're a fucking animal, so that they can go out there and not give a shit about anything. That's what I think this resilience, deployment resilience counselors are. They're not actual counselors. Pointing out that these extreme extensions are becoming a feature rather than the exception, U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal demanded a formal Pentagon inquiry into the carrier's living conditions and systematic sailor burnout. They're insignificant. We care. No, we care with our bumper stickers and me working for Hire a Hero and Rob and all the work that he does. We actually care. They don't. They don't. You think that the Pentagon and Pete Hegseth and his boys, do you think that they see that these 5,000 Marines and sailors on the U.S. Abraham Lincoln, do you think that they see them as individuals who all needed to be accounted for and respected? No. They see them as grains of sand. Insignificant grains of sand, just whatever. They're fine. All right, by the way, it should also be mentioned that as far as like people jumping over ships, like oh, is this a thing? It is a thing. It is a thing. To have two here, which is what we're talking about with the USS Abraham Lincoln. Now, a lot of the people reporting this are going to say numerous. There have been numerous. After a number of sailors, nobody's saying two. Nobody's saying two because two's not a number that moves the needle. Two sailors have done this in the last 60 days. Okay, two. But again, you won't hear the media say two. The media is going to say a number of. It's all about the manipulation and the deception and to get us to believe what they want us to believe so that we sit through the Carnival Cruise commercials and watch whatever bullshit they're selling on the other side. 10. 10 is the number yearly. Okay. Every year, the United States Navy has at least 10 instances of sailors or Marines or whomever going overboard. Now, a good 7 out of 10 of those are dudes who slipped. Okay. Dudes who slipped, guys who fell, guys fucking around, wasn't intentional. As far as the suicidal ideations go, about 3 a year. They get about 3 a year in the United States Navy, people who try to go overboard. Why this story is interesting is because we've now had 2 in 2 months. I don't know what the rest of the numbers are for the year. Well, let's get them some food, huh? Let's get them some good food. Let's get them on land. Can we just get them on land? They're just out there floating around. Jesus. Do you want to be running the bar in the port town where those guys... That's going to be a wild night. And the sailor said, Brandy, you're a fine girl. Yeah, it's going to be a wild night wherever those guys come ashore. Let's get them a break. All right, there you have it. That's the story of the soldiers, the sailors, and the seamen and the Marines who are jumping overboard. Let's talk about this. This one sucks. Here we go. Gas prices. Hey, good news, bad news. The bad news is, of course, for us. The good news is, of course, for them. The good news is for them, and the bad news is for us. Gasoline prices climbed on Wednesday, marking their highest level on record. The national average for regular gas stood at $4.3 per gallon. That's about 16 cents higher than just 1 month ago. The national average is now at its highest ever level. Gas Buddy, head of petroleum researcher Patrick DeHaan, noted that this means that the national average has never been above $4 a gallon after August 12th. All right, so there you have it. That's the bad news. You want the bad news first? There's the bad news. The bad news is that we are still paying an obnoxious price for a gallon of gas. That's the thing, man. That's the maybe that's why he's at 32. I can't understand why the president isn't at like 3. He's at 32% approval, and gas prices, the thing to affect each and every one of us most directly and most immediately, have never been higher. That's the bad news for us. Well, suck it up. Suck it up and wave your American flag proudly. You're paying more for... Hey, here's the good news. I told you there was some good news on this. Ready? Here's the good news. American oil companies have never made more money. American oil companies. Oh, the stock prices for... Top U.S. fuel makers boosted returns to shareholders in the second quarter as prolonged disruptions to crude supplies through the Strait of Hormuz sent fuel prices and refining margins surging. Industry analysts said refiners' massive profits and strong buyback programs were likely to continue into the third quarter, underscoring how U.S. fuel makers have been among the biggest financial beneficiaries of the Iran war. Somebody's got to get rich. It's always the same people, though. It's always the same people. It's always the same people at the extent of us. Speaking of, how about supporting this show? There you go. You can drop a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App. You can help this kind of talk radio continue, the kind of talk radio that you don't get to hear on your local radio stations. Why? Because major American radio companies don't want someone who talks like me. I can't be controlled. You never know what I'm going to say next. Drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App if you support this kind of independent freedom, indie radio, if you will. So gas prices are high. Oil companies are making a lot of money, but one of us doesn't have to worry about that nonsense anymore because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Powerball winner, a $1 billion Powerball ticket. I wasted $5. I'll never get back. I'll never get that $5 back. But let me tell you something. So I bought a Powerball tickets. I did. Whenever it gets up this high, it's like you almost have to, right? Why not? Here's how I justify it. And at some point, this is going to stop. The justification for this has to stop. Here's how I justify it. A couple of bucks, let's say $5. I put $5 down yesterday. Now, I showed you the Venmo. I showed you that the show is worth a whopping $28. I had to go food shopping yesterday, and then I bought a lottery ticket. I can justify being broke and spending $5 on a lottery ticket. And here's why. The hope is worth it. The hope is worth $5. When you buy that lottery ticket, let me tell you something about me. When I buy that Powerball ticket or whatever, when we get up into these crazy high numbers, when I buy that Powerball ticket, I go and I walk out and just at least in this moment, I've got the winning ticket. In the first couple of, I got it. Look at this. You sit in your car, you look at it, you look at the number on the payout, you start to do the math. You're like, would I take the one time? And you're pulling out of the 7-Eleven or wherever you bought it, and you're pulling onto the street, and you're thinking about all the people in your life that you're going to take care of. And that's worth $5. What I do, though, and here's where I lose the plot on the whole lottery thing. I never check my lottery tickets. I never check them. Never. I buy them, and I never check them. Like in the case of the one I bought yesterday, I don't need to check it. Somebody won. Became a big news story. I know somebody won, and I knew it wasn't me, so I never check it. But here's the other thing. I was also given a scratch-off ticket last Christmas, just as a gift. Just there you go, Merry Christmas. Here's a scratch off. I didn't scratch that damn thing off until like July. I think it was like my son was here and I'm like, well, let's see if we've got some money here. Like just a month ago, I finally got around to scratching it off. You know why? Because if I have the lottery ticket, it might be a winner. As soon as I scratch it off, it's not a fucking winner. And of course, I'm not a winner. I'm a loser. And I'm never going to win anything. And see that? It's about mental maintenance. As long as I don't scratch it off, I can be like, yeah, this might be $1 million lottery ticket. So I don't check my tickets. Here's my thinking on this. I buy my tickets from the same 3 stores. They're all like in the same neighborhood. And if one of those stores issued the $1 billion ticket, I'd hear about it. Everybody be talking about it. And then I'd check my ticket, and it wouldn't be it. I'd be like, not the guy. Like, that's how rough it is. That's how rough it is for me. This person who won the $1 billion Powerball ticket yesterday, they're in Illinois. And that was the headline that I saw. 1 billion Powerball tickets sold in Illinois. And I went, yeah, right? Because in that moment, I've narrowed it down now. I've narrowed it down. I am not just one of a whole bunch of people. I am one of people who bought it in Illinois, and one of them is the winner. Then I read the story, and I was like, fuck. I didn't win. Someone in Illinois did. And if you were listening to the show the other day, I think I went on this whole long rant about river people, talking about how river people, the folks in Illinois who live around the Mississippi River, the entire length of the state is the Mississippi River. So the Mississippi River is like our border. But we have, we've got the Quad Cities, and we've got, the St. Louis metropolitan area, which is down there. I know St. Louis is on the other side, but the metropolitan area is in Illinois. And all the suburbs of St. Louis are across the Illinois side, or at least many of them. But I talked about river people, about how they're freaking awesome, how they're just like, they're not hillbillies, they're not city assholes, they're not rural dumb fucks. They're a completely different thing. River people. They live in river towns. They are used to transient degenerates coming through on barges, tearing up their downtown and then leaving. River people are good people. I told you the story about how I was down there in Alton, Illinois last Friday, and I stopped in a Casey's. Casey's is a rural Midwestern American convenience store chain. Casey's are really cool. They're all over the river cities. So I stop in a Casey's, I'm getting gas and I'm getting a soda, and I'm waiting in line, and there is this lovely woman. She's wearing a white sundress. She's pregnant. She's beautiful. She's probably in her mid-30s. Just delightful, glowing. She's talking to the person at Casey's, and I'm standing in line with my giant drink, my road soda. I got about 400 miles ahead of me, so I got my road soda. So I'm behind her, and she's chatting away, and I'm not really thinking about much. And then all of a sudden, she turns around, and she says to me, oh, my God, I didn't know you were there. Is that all you have? And I'm like, yeah, just soda. And then she turns to the cashier, and she goes, go ahead. I'm just going to pay for that soda. I can't believe I wasted his time. And I said, wait, what? What? $1. It's not a big deal. But the act that another human being recognized in the moment that maybe she was being a little bit rude and all about herself and her baby, and maybe that was inconveniencing a total stranger. She took the steps to rectify it. She bought me a soda because she felt bad, and I just thought, river people are the best. River people. They're nice. They're good people. They don't take any shit. They'll kick your ass out of town if you come through on that barge. Start getting drunk, starting fights. They'll kick your ass out. But river people are good people. And that's who won $1 billion. River people. Quincy, Illinois. I believe Quincy is the hometown of Ronald Reagan. I think it's Reagan's hometown. Or at least I know that area is Reagan's area. I think it's Quincy. I'm going with Quincy, Illinois. Hometown of Ronald Reagan. It was sold there in Quincy. 1 billion here. 1 billion jackpot goes to Illinois residents. The lucky winner can now choose from either an annualized price of $1. No, the lucky winner can now choose from either, annuitized. I was like, annual. All right, so they can choose from, $1.4 billion in annuity on that, which would be a yearly payback. Or you can just take the lump sum, which is, look at this bullshit. Look at this bullshit. Bullshit. Look at me. It's a fantasy, and I'm angry about taxes. Don't be angry about fantasy taxes. So if you won 1.040 billion, so $1 billion in what? 40 million? I don't know what that is. I can't do numbers. So if you won $1 billion and you take the lump sum payment, they only give you 450 million. 450 million? Before taxes. So you win $1 billion, and then I'll take the lump sum. Why are you taking the lump sum? I'll tell you why I'm taking it. Because I don't trust that the lottery is going to be around in 20 years. I don't trust that some MAGA guy is going to come in and be president and be like, we're doing the end of the lottery. Sorry. I don't trust that this country is going to be around in 20 years, let alone the lottery system where I'm waiting on them to pay me back. No. So we'll take the one-time lump. Look at that, half. Well, you can trust us to still be a country. You can trust us to still be a country in 20 years as we pay out this $1 billion. Or you can just figure that everything's a scam and just take your money now, and we'll give you half. I don't like that. Let's see here. The massive jackpot from Wednesday's drawing, which marks the 8th largest in Powerball history, was won on a single ticket. That's why you only buy one ticket. I know I spent 5. I bought multiple tickets. You should only buy one ticket. You want to know why? Because if God wants you to win, you're going to win with one ticket. The massive jackpot, which marks the 8th largest in Powerball history, was won on a single ticket sold at a Hy-Vee gas station on the Illinois-Missouri border at 310 North 36th Street in Quincy. Man, I'll tell you, river folk, they ain't leaving. They're just going to build like a massive compound on the river. They're going to have all kinds of river boats. They're going to do river things. River people. Yeah, good for them. Good for them. Like, you can be like, oh, why did they win and I didn't? Or you can just be like, you know what? Right? Imagine being them today. Imagine how excited they are. What a day. I don't think they've come forward yet, though. All right. Speaking of that, the dream of winning the Powerball, which is essentially all that remains of the promised American dream. Let's talk about something kind of serious here, okay? I've been meaning to get into this for a couple of days because on Tuesday night, we had a very interesting election going on there in Wisconsin. The Democratic Socialists of America. Oh, my God, are they getting popular? DSA. Terrible name. I'm going to say this from the beginning. Terrible name. Leave it to who went with DSA? Like, who decided that we should really make the socialism part in the brand? We should make that, I swear to God, people on the left. This is people on the left. People on the right have all kinds of problems. But people on the left, they just don't have a clue. They don't get it. They don't get that the word socialism is a toxic word in America. Doesn't matter what it means. Don't sit here and argue with me about, well, actually, socialism as it's applied to in these countries is more of a... Shut up. Socialism, since the Cold War, has been branded the exact same thing as communism. There is no distinction made between your grandpa or your aunt between communism and socialism, even though smart people know they are completely different things. But okay. Branding. That's a toxic word in this country. Good people who would completely support the platforms held within the DSA won't go near it because they're too stupid to not drop the socialism part of it. The DSA has made big waves, first in New York City with the election of Zoran, is that his name? Mendamini. Mandami, right? That's his name. Then they took the show on the road, ventured out into the great wasteland of the United States. They went to Michigan, and you had Dr. Abdul El Sayed defeating Haley Stevens for the Democratic primary there for the Senate. They won decisively. Those are Mandami won decisively and El Sayed ran decisively. So now we move across the lake. Now let's move even further into the interior of the United States. We've got Wisconsin, and they got this chick Francesca Hong, who's running for governor there in Wisconsin. Now Wisconsin's an interesting state. I'm very familiar with Wisconsin. I happen to love Wisconsin, but Wisconsin to me is like, as far as demographically speaking, it's perfect. It is the perfect mix of all kinds of different people. Wisconsin has for years had a Republican governor, and then they had a Democratic governor, and they've had Republican senators and Democratic senators. It's not like Texas, where it's all the same thing all the time and never, although that's changing if you've seen the polls out today. Anyway, Wisconsin is a good indicator of how the Democratic Socialists of America's message is being received by middle America, people in Wisconsin. And you guys, they did really well. The DSA in Wisconsin did incredibly well with a wholly unelectable candidate. Francesca Hong is an idiot. She's a complete moron. She has my God, could you imagine? I don't know look, I thought it was bad when Minnesota elected Jesse Ventura, but this crazy woman, yet because she was carrying the DSA banner, the banner that I say is terribly branded with the socialism word in the middle there, because she was carrying that, she got a lot of attention, and she lost to David Crowley, who was a Milwaukee County commissioner. She lost to David Crowley by percentage points, like within the margin of error. She lost. It's over. They know that he won. But and also David Crowley, who is probably now going to lose the governor's mansion for the Democrats there. He's probably going to lose to the Republican, but I don't know, unless they decide to run the My Pillow guy. Maybe Evers is the current governor. He's a Democrat. But it looks like the Dems might be giving it back, because I don't know if this David Crowley guy, he was running and then he dropped out because he knew there was no chance that he could win. And then like a month ago, he jumped back in after some other high-profile Democrats dropped out. And then here we are on election night, and he defeats Francesca Hong Kong Phooey. All right, so let's get into some of the details here. Okay, as I said, this Francesca Hong was neither Mandami or Dr. Abdul El Sayed. What do I mean by that? Well, if you just and I know that a lot of you will never listen to anything Mandami says, and I know that a bunch of you will also never listen to anything that someone named Dr. Abdul El Sayed says. But if you were to listen to them, you'd see that they're incredibly articulate and smart men who have ideas that are wholesale differences from the way that we operate now, but not evil. They don't sound evil. They sound like fucking common sense. But again, no one will ever get to the point where they're like, that's kind of common sense. No one will ever get to that point because these idiots are still flying the socialist banner. This country hates socialism, and we've got socialism everywhere in this country. Whether it's Social Security, whether it's the fire department, the post department, the education system, we are wholly invested in socialist ideology, and yet we refuse to admit it. I have a friend who's a fireman. He's like super right-wing. He's like super Trump, super Maggie. And he goes nuts when he's a fireman. He goes nuts when I tell him, you're a socialist. You work for a socialist entity. Why shouldn't we have why shouldn't every town have their own little private fire department, run by a job creator? Why are my tax dollars going for this? Francesca Hong, she ran on a platform of universal child care, fully funded public schools, Medicare for all, and a notable moratorium on new artificial intelligence data center construction. So this is what crazy, when you saw her speak and when you learned a little bit about her background, you know that she is, all right, go sit in the corner, crazy lady. Okay, you're nuts. You're not going to be in charge of anything. But this is what she ran on. This is the platform. Universal health care, fully funded public schools. Fully funded public schools. Is that controversial? Is that controversial? I guess it's only controversial if in your stupid head you've already moved on to the part where we've eliminated the Department of Education in the American public school system. If you're there, fuck you. You're an idiot, okay? We have public schools. Not everybody can afford private schools. Public schools are important. They've done a great job in this country for years, although I got to question the last 40 years of public schools in this country. Look at the morons. Look at the grown-up morons we have to deal with. Point stands. public schools should be fully funded. How is this a controversial position to have? How is this something? That platform's a deal breaker for me. Universal child care. Why they shouldn't have the kids if they can't. Shut up. People who think like that, you're done. Whenever this pendulum swings back, if you're the kind of asshole who says things like, I don't tip because I didn't choose to do this job, or if you're the kind of person who says, don't have kids if you can't afford health care, you fucking people are done. You've had your 10 years. You were allowed to say the most awful, stupid shit that anybody has ever heard, and now you're done, okay? Universal child care is a good fucking idea. We must take care of our communities. We must. So universal child care, fully funded public schools, Medicare for all. That ship has sailed, you guys. Even the president of the United States, even your own MAGA guy is now like, Obamacare's actually done a good job. Yeah. Years and years, you stupids were ginned up by people who had ulterior interests. You people were ginned up to think that the very idea that a guy who runs a health company shouldn't have 5 yachts. That very idea was like, oh, well, of course. Everybody in the greatest country God ever created should be covered. Healthcare should be a promise to every citizen born in this country. Why? Because everybody else does it. Everybody else does it. Everybody. Oh, we'll talk to somebody in Canada. I've talked to a lot of people in Canada. They fucking love their healthcare system. Shut up. You have never talked to anyone from Canada. You never have. Well, I heard a guy from England. He was saying, well, why do they all come here? Oh, shut up. Everybody, nobody in America, no American citizen should die in a heap of their own shit on the floor of their shitty apartment because they couldn't afford to be taken care of. This isn't about America. This is about empathy. This is about decency. This is about how we as human beings take care of each other. Okay? So shut your mouth. I'm so tired of it. Well, Obamacare, you can't just give everybody. Shut up. Shut up. It is long past due that we have everybody in this country covered. I have heart issues. I have no fucking insurance. Okay? Well, I do, but it's not good. It's not good insurance. If I have heart palpitations or something, I will not go to the emergency room. I will just die on my couch. Ain't that America? Oh, but the fucking DSA people who have this on their platform, they're ruining America. No, you're ruining America because you're stupid and you just listen to what terrible people tell you to think. That's basically when I say terrible people, I'm basically talking about American talk radio. I'm talking about WBAP in Dallas. I'm talking about WLS in Chicago. I am talking about the people who are complicit, not even complicit, even wholly responsible, I believe, for this weird way that working people think in this country. We've all been brainwashed by guys who do talk radio in fucking suits since the beginning of Rush Limbaugh. All right. So let's go. Let's see what the, so again, this DSA. Well, again, terrible name. Let's drop the S. The DSA. Their platform, universal child care, fully funded public schools, Medicaid for all, and a notable moratorium on new artificial intelligence data center construction. Who's against any of that? I don't know. Have you guys... I think Trump is all for the AI data center stuff because he's making money off that because of his kids and stuff. So if you're MAGA, you're probably, you don't want the AI data center in your backyard, but you're going to go on Twitter and you're going to argue as to why other people should. Here was the problem, though, with Francesca Hong. It's troubling to me that she, despite all of these problems, just barely lost. The platform is good, but the individual herself was flawed. She was flawed because she had a very deep history, well-documented history of just saying stupid shit. Stupid, dumb shit that make normal people like me roll our eyes and go, well, she can never be taken seriously. So despite the platform, and we saw the platform in New York and in Michigan take hold with voters. We saw it. We saw it when it came from Mandami, and we saw it when it came from Dr. El Sayed. We didn't see it take the same way when it came from this crazy lady in Wisconsin. So my point is, if you can have the appropriate messenger for the message and the platform, you better be worried about the DSA, because the numbers that they did in Michigan and the numbers that they did in Wisconsin, that ain't New York. That ain't the LA City Council, okay? Americans are looking at this platform and going, okay, I'll listen. I will listen. Now, why did she lose? Why is she a complete clown show? It says here, opponents heavily weaponized Hong's past progressive social media posts. This is this is going to get a lot of people in the future, past social media posts. Here's some of the stuff that she believes or has said publicly. And here's the problem with social media. I have said some stuff on social media over the years that I do not believe, but I have no intention of ever running for higher elected office, so I'm not really worried about it. But if I were, I'd be like, oh shit, I got to scrub my Twitter. I have said some things that were only designed to get a reaction out of people. That's it. So here's some of the things that she said. Opponents have heavily weaponized her past progressive social media posts, including calls to defund the police, and a 2020 tweet where she joked about canceling Thanksgiving. Okay, so defund the police. Back a couple of years ago, there were people saying this. Nobody important was saying this. Totally unimportant people like 2022 version of Francesca Hong, who was just some idiot spouting bullshit on her Twitter feed. A lot of people said, defund the police. Nobody of any importance said this. The way that was framed was that, oh, look at the Democrats. This is what the Democrats... Show me one important, powerful, or significantly relevant Democrat who said defund the police. That is such a stupid thing, but I understand why the right ran with it and tried to attach it to everything that is left of center. Well, if you're left of center, you must want to defund the police. Bitch, I'm left of center. I come from a police family, and I, from the moment I heard that, knew that was stupid. That's not a real thing, defund the police, but anyway, she supported it. She actually supported it. She's like, someday I want to be governor, but first, defund the police. Get the fuck out of here. Canceling Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving needs to be canceled because, Columbus and whatnot. Oh, Jesus. See, here is what these people need to recognize. And maybe they don't. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe what these crazies on the left are saying when they say things like, let's cancel Thanksgiving. Maybe these crazy people on the left are just trying to counterbalance the equally crazy shit that we heard on the right. There's the right, the formerly Republican Party has gone completely into lunatic land. The extreme of the right wing has gained power. Now, I, as someone in the middle, I would like to see that fixed by having more normal, moderate, thoughtful, and reasonable dialogue coming from the center left. But that's not what we're doing. We're going all the way to defund the police on the left to balance out the kids in cages or whatever the hell it is that's on the right. We're going all the fake war in Iran to get people to stop talking about how the president's probably a pedophile. The fake war. We're going all the way. I want to hear new voices that are not extremist voices. And anyone who thinks that they can run for elected office statewide, not even just, your local community. I don't know. You might have enough friends to get you there. But at statewide, if you think you can be elected by saying shit like, let's cancel Thanksgiving because of Columbus, you don't understand the way the independent voter reacts to that. The independent voter myself, the moderate guy in the middle, I hear that, I roll my eyes and I go, that person can never be taken seriously. Because yes, of course, I understand the sordid history of Columbus and colonialism and all of that kind of stuff. But that ship has sailed, okay? We do Columbus Day in this country. Columbus, the myth, okay? We celebrate the myth, not necessarily the facts. The myth is that he discovered American Columbus Day and blah, blah, blah. It means a lot to the Italians. Okay, fine, whatever. You can't just now in 2026 start going around going, oh yeah, we're not doing that holiday anymore because this guy was this. You can't do it. It's stupid. Beyond Thanksgiving, opponents dug up old social media history where Hong questioned or criticized the capitalistic, historical, or societal implications of almost every major American holiday, including Independence Day. Well, you knew she'd have a problem with Independence Day. Halloween. What's the problem with Halloween? What is the problem with Halloween? Like, I know why, like, crazy right people have a problem with Halloween because it has to do with Jesus and the Bible and Satanism and all that. Like, I get that. But why does Hong Kong Phooey, why does she have a problem with Halloween? They burned witches. What? Shut up. Stop ruining the last day of October for little kids. Halloween's got to go. She says Columbus Day, of course, got to go. Thanksgiving's got to go. Christmas. She doesn't like Christmas. You're not going to get anywhere in America hating Christmas. And that's the other. We don't have a war on Christmas. Remember, that was, Bill O'Reilly started that in like 2005. He laid the groundwork. There's a war on Christmas because some places say season's greetings. You're so dumb. You are so stupid. If you think there's a war on Christmas, you're a stupid person. Hi, that's you. Hi, dummy. There's a war on Christmas because the girl at Starbucks said season's greetings. War on Christmas. Everything I'm about is being attacked. You're a fool. You're a fool. You're a dummy. We don't have time for you. And unfortunately, the era of social media has allowed your stupid voice to be amplified. So now I see it on my scroll every now and again. She also, Hong, the woman who barely lost in Wisconsin, she advocated for the abolishment of the United States Senate. Yeah, in 2021, Hong tweeted a demand to flat out abolish the Senate. How does that work, stupid? What is the process for us to abolish the Senate? Says here she likes government-run grocery stores and state banks. Her economic platform veered far left of standard progressive ideals, advocating for creation of completely state-owned banks and government-run grocery stores. This in order to combat inflation and corporate PACs. Let's try it. You think I give a fuck? I love shopping. Do you know how expensive food is? Food is a necessity. We have to have food. I don't believe that food should be a part of the capitalist system. Well, we've got to charge $7 for a pound of ground beef because, we've got stockholders to answer to. No, screw you. If state-run grocery stores want to start becoming a thing, if state-run grocery stores, maybe not at a profit or whatever, just cover expenses or whatever, I say let's try it. Let's try it. Bye-bye, Kroger. Bye-bye, all of you. Food. We need food. Honestly, in this country, I'm shocked that we haven't been able to commercialize air. I'm surprised that, like in 1940, there wasn't a guy who went, I own the air, and now everybody must pay for my air. Food. It's a necessity. We need it to live. Stop charging like... All right, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the idea of trying a different form of grocery store, a different form of food distribution. I'm perfectly fine with that. So there we go. There's one for me. I'm not for the canceling of the holidays that Hong wants to do. By the way, these are not necessarily tenets of the DSA. These are her. These are all things that the woman who almost won the Democratic primary for governor of Wisconsin believes. She wants an AI moratorium. Her signature unique policy proposal was an aggressive moratorium on all new artificial intelligence data center construction. She vowed to strip tech companies of all state tax incentives due to infrastructure and energy strains. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Oh, don't even. What do you want, the Chinese? I don't care. I'm not going to be afraid of the Chinese, the Russians, the Muslims, the Jews, the blacks, the browns. I'm not going to be afraid of all of this shit anymore. What I do know is that these AI I know that AI is a problem, and I don't have my finger on it yet. I don't know. You know what's interesting about AI? For people my age who are being introduced to life with AI, it is so convenient. It is. Boy, oh boy. That segment that I did at the start of the show, we're going to run through some headlines. You know what that was? That was me going, hey, AI, give me the top 10 biggest news stories in America today. That's it. And then I read all the stories, and then I just kind of spot. That's it. AI. It is so convenient. And I understand how a bunch of us are being seduced into using it. It is easier. But it ain't good. I mean, at the same, it's like heroin. I might try heroin. I'm like, this is fucking great. This feels awesome. Oh my God, I was so sad and not having a good time at all. And then I shot some heroin into my arm, and now I feel really good. This feels great. See, but I know that ultimately it's a bad thing. That's how I feel about AI. And as I said, me, as somebody my age, I'm using it as a crutch. I'm using it as a toy. I'm using it as something that's interesting and new and fun. I got a 17-year-old son who will never use AI. And he's not weird among his generation. He seems to be fairly representative of his friend group. They are so anti-AI. They know what AI is. More than I do, apparently. They see what the rise of AI is going to do for their expectations of whatever a happy life is. No jobs, nothing. What are we supposed to do? Universal income? Well, can't have that because the right says no, even though they've taken all of our jobs. The job creators have taken all of our jobs. They've given all of their money to tech bros, and the tech bros are now building robots and AI to do all of the jobs that we credited them with creating for all those years. The job creators. You people have been... Eat the rich. I got to get me an Eat the Rich t-shirt. Because that is the vibe. I am not like alone here on this hill. I mean, just the rise of the DSA, that certainly does sort of bolster my claim that I am not alone when I say eat the rich. That's where we are moving. We are moving to pitchforks and tiki torches time. All right. So the AI moratorium, I'm all for. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's happening with the AI thing. All I know is that there are these giant, massive warehouses that are going up all over. None of us know what they do or what the repercussions in the future are going to be for these things, what the quality of life in the communities that surround these things are going to be. We don't know. All we know is that we've got a president and a government who's got their foot on the gas, and they are bending over to accommodate whatever the tech bros want. Pause that shit. Pause it. What about the Chinese? Pause that shit. Not worried about the Chinese. Pause it. Well, but the Chinese will be able to make memes 5 times quicker than us. Memes, whatever. She also posted a whole bunch of stuff about the pedophile protector. She calls Trump the pedophile protector endlessly. And quite frankly, I'm okay with that one too. So as far as the provocative tweets from her past that a lot of people called up and said that made her wholly unqualified, I agree. I disagree with the cancel all holidays. Disagree with abolishing the Senate. Disagree with her tweet about defund the police. Intrigued by the DSA's notion of state-run grocery stores and banks. Very intrigued by that. Would be totally okay with that. Yeah, Fuck you, Capital One. Bye-bye. The AI thing I'm all for. Yeah, pedophile protector. He's a pedophile. He's probably a pedophile. I can't believe I'm looking at the president of the United States and I'm like, he's probably a pedophile. That's can't really fix that. Now, here's the deal breaker for me. Okay. Now, this is the thing that she tweeted. And, all of the other stuff that she tweeted, I might be able to justify and go, yeah, but the party's platform is, it's good. I think we need to listen more to these people. They've got some ideas. Let's let them get a shot at it. Until this tweet. There was this tweet, the famous Culver's tweet. It should be noted, by the way, that Francesca Hong is in an interracial marriage. She is married to a white man and she has a biracial son. Her son is her name is Hong. Her son is half Korean. I think she is Korean, maybe Japanese. I don't, no disrespect. I just don't know. Hong, that sounds Chinese, possibly Korean. Anyway, so she's got like a interracial child who is half Asian and half Western, right? Which, by the way, that's going to be a good-looking kid. That is, to me, that's the best mix. That is the best mix. You cannot show me, well, I don't know about dudes, women. You cannot show me a woman who is half Asian and half Western, half European that isn't gorgeous. That is the gorgeous mix. That's perfection. Oh my God. I dated a girl who was one half Japanese, half Irish. I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. Oh my God. All right. So the pedophile protector, that's the final attack. I mean, so again, they got to change the name for me to ever really consider caucusing with these people. The name's got to change. Are they a legitimate threat from coast to coast? I think they are. I think the DSA movement is a very real thing, judging by the numbers that we saw in Michigan and the turnout that we saw in Wisconsin. Wisconsin, my God, you guys. So we'll see. We'll see as it moves. They got to drop that socialist thing. I don't know if I believe everything that they believe, but I am, and I hope this has been clear over 5 years of us doing this show now. I'm primarily about people snapping out of it and realizing that America isn't broken. Americans are. America does not need to be made great again. Americans need to be made great again. It is us. We are soft. We are pampered. We haven't had a threat or a legitimate enemy since 1990 when the Soviet Union crumbled. And in that time, we have gotten lazy, we have gotten comfortable, we have gotten hateful, we have turned inward in our anger that we used to reserve for outside things, legitimate threats, or so we were told, the evil Soviet Union. We have turned all of these hatreds into the people of our own communities. That's what we are. America does not need to be made great again, but Americans sure as shit do, because we the people, that's our whole brand. It isn't about pointing at Washington saying that the left is doing this or that the right is doing this. It is about we the people. Generally speaking, and I mentioned this earlier today, we are all unremarkable grains of sand on an endless beach of humanity. That's what you are. That's what I am. Look at a beach. Think of all the individual grains of sand on that beach. You're not going to think twice about kicking a load of sand here or kicking a load of sand there. That's who we are as human beings. We are insignificant grains of sand. The only significance that we hold is to the grain of sand right next to us. Our community. The people, the grain of sand we rub against. We need to start recognizing that. We are wholly insignificant when looked at from a 30,000-foot view. But we are incredibly significant to each other, to the people that we screaming at traffic, right? Fuck you, that's that! to our neighbors across the street who you don't talk to anymore because they put that sign up 4 years ago and I've had it with Lou. We need to start recognizing that nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about us and the great beach of humanity that we're a part of. The only things that care about us and the only things that we should care about are those little grains of sand that make us significant. Our families, our children's, our communities. But we don't care about our communities anymore. I say this all the time. We don't give a shit about our communities because I got friends in North Texas who know everything about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. A bullshit congresswoman from New York, from one of the boroughs in New York. Same guy can't tell you who his congressman is there in North Texas. No, not a clue. But they can tell you all about Alexandria. We are insignificant. Care about your community. Care about the grain of sand next to you. Stop it. And if we do, I think that this DSA message might resonate even stronger. All right. Don't know what I am. Don't know what I am, but I am listening. As an independent voter, I am absolutely listening and understanding the whole pendulum aspect of all of this. It's going to change. How severely is it going to change? I'd like to moderate that. I'd like it to be just a little bit left. I don't think it needs to go all the way left. But if you're watching what the DSA is doing, you might be worried that that's probably what we're heading to. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, here's a big story. This is a big local story. Local, I say. For my friends down there in DFW Airport is going to install Muslim foot washing stations. Oh, where's Byron? Byron's losing his shit on this one. Never given it a thought before, but now he's all, where's Barney? Barney hates this. Barney's going to be well, Barney doesn't hate it enough to actually go protest, but let's see. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport to install Muslim foot wash stations inside terminal bathrooms. Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport is set, by the way, that's the important word there, international. Oh, I know you think it's yours. Living there in Grapevine going, that's my airport. It's a fucking international airport, dude, okay? It is not even Texas. It's in an international airport. People from all over the world travel through that airport on their way to this place or that place or the next place, whatever. International airport. It's not the Grapevine Mills Mall, okay? Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport is set to install Islamic foot washing stations inside its terminal bathrooms. The project was officially registered by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Excuse me. Ooh. Take a break. The project was officially registered by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation on July 31st and will reportedly be completed by the end of next year. According to records of the project's details, the ablution stations, they're called ablution stations. According to records of the project, the ablution stations will be added to existing restrooms in Terminal D in both the men's and women's restrooms. The construction will cost an estimated $300,000. Why paying for that? No, you're not. You're not fucking paying for this. Shut up. It's not a tax dollar thing. Shut up, stupid. It's being privately funded. Probably by one of them Muslims. The washing stations will provide a dedicated space in the public airport bathrooms for Muslims to wash their feet before prayer. This is an Islamic tradition known as wudu. The project is also intended to prevent airport passengers from using regular sinks for the same purpose, which has led to complaints of unhygienic conditions and water on the floor. Okay, so obviously this is one of them headlines going to get people all excited. Oh my God, this is what's happening. Sharia foot washing is coming to shut up. Shut up. You know, we're not the only culture in this world. There are a whole bunch of other religions and cultures and all kinds of things that good people do as a part of their kind of life. This is not some attack on you as a Texan. This is not some attack on us as Americans. All this is us going, yeah, we're going to be cool outside. Well, that's cool. It's cool if you're different. We'll accommodate you because it's an international airport. We understand that people are traveling through this airport from all around the world, and people have other needs and other desires, and it is incumbent upon any well-run international airport to do the best they can to accommodate these needs. Now, why is it being done? It's being done because people are already washing their feet. See, this is in response to a problem that has been going on for years at DFW, and that is people from other parts of the world, Muslims, who have to adhere to a strict prayer schedule. Washing of the feet, or wudu, is apparently a part of their entire process, so they're doing it anyway. Okay. And what they were doing was they were washing their feet in the regular sinks of men's rooms and women's rooms at DFW. This was causing all kinds of problems. There was mess. Water was spilling on the floor. It became dangerous. People were slipping. So they decided that instead of having to worry about $1 million lawsuit because some business traveler slipped while some Muslim was washing his feet, they decided to head that off at the pass. And for $300,000, they'll just build some dedicated. This shouldn't be a problem for anybody. This seems like they recognized a problem. The problem is that Muslims are washing their feet. Well, then just tell them they can't do that. Well, see, now you're an asshole, because we have to be accommodating once again to other people's cultures. Unless you're one of these people who are not. Unless you're one of these people who are just like, nope, only my culture. All other cultures must be destroyed. If you're that person, then fuck you and get the hell out of here, because I don't want to waste any more time with you listening. All right, get out of here. Other cultures exist. International airports service people different than you. They have needs that maybe you've never considered before. This is the airport saying, look, we're tired of having this problem with wet floors. We're going to make a dedicated space where these good people of faith can go and practice their vocation in a way that isn't going to cause problems for everybody else. That's the long and the short of the DFW foot washing stations. But if you want to turn it into another example of how Sharia law, even though they're not related at all, is a completely different thing, but whatever, continue being stupid. Here's Barney. I called Barney out, so Barney's got to be allowed to respond. Wait, we'll start from the beginning. I called Barney out because Barney is a totem for MAGA. I know he's not. I know. Look, here's what I know about Barney, and I don't put any words in his mouth, but I will. Barney knows that. Barney's a decent, smart, educated, good all-American person. He knows what this guy is. Okay. But he's so dug in. It's like, and he hates people like me. He doesn't hate me because Barney and I like each other. But, we've kind of for a long time been going, this guy's obviously a weirdo. And you guys seem to be ignoring what a weirdo he is. Like, I think Barney's at the point now where he knows. He knows he's a weirdo. But also, I think Barney might think it's better than whatever the alternative is. So. All right, so here's what Barney says. He says, can anybody use them? Can we just call them foot washing stations? Or do they got to be Islamic? Here's how I would answer this question, not knowing the facts at all. Yes, absolutely. Because now, Barney, and I'm with you, if you say these dedicated Muslim foot washing stations are only for Muslims, well, then I'm upset. What if I see it and I go, you know what? A good foot washing is something I'd enjoy right now. You're telling me I can't? It's a great point, Barney. They should be for everything. He also points out the clearly obvious thing here. Terminal D is the international terminal. That's why it's there. It's because this is where all the people from, other places are going. Barney then says, foot washing used to be big with the Jews, as I recall. I could probably stand to wash my feet more now that I think about it. I had sort of a foot washing incident a couple of days ago in the shower, and I had to wash. I had been walking around barefoot, so the bottoms of my feet were all black, and I made a dedicated point in the shower to make sure that I scrubbed the bottom of my foot. And I realized while I was down there doing it that I don't wash the bottom of my foot, generally speaking, because it was difficult for me to get into that position in the shower and scrub my feet. I think we could all use with a bit more foot washing. All right, there you have it. The big scandalous foot washing stations there going in at DFW. How will we survive? Okay, what else do we want to talk about here? Yeah, all right, we'll do it. Here we go. Let's do this right here. Oh, you know what I haven't done? I all day long, I just realized this is a problem. We've got our hero scroll. I haven't been doing our hero scroll. Yeah, these are the people who have already gone in and helped this show in the month of August. There's hardly any. We got to make like $400, $500 a month. That's like the goal, somewhere in there, like $100 a week. And we've got $28, and it's already the middle of August. So anyway, I do want to thank the people who have continued to tip this show, even though everybody else seems to have fallen by the wayside. I do want to thank you. So thank you all. And scene. All right, let's talk about the Tupac murder trial. I'm a man in my mid-50s, and I know more about the Tupac murder trial than anyone my age should. Now, maybe it has to do with the fact that it was a pretty big story back at a time when I was in my prime, right? 1996, going back 30 years. 1996, Las Vegas. It was after the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight at the MGM Grand Garden Arena that Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight hopped in a car and left the arena and then were murdered a couple of blocks away when a car pulled up alongside them and started popping caps, as they say. 30 years. 30 years it has taken to get a trial in the murder of Tupac Shakur. And the trial should start Monday, they're expecting. This past Monday, jury selection began there in Los Angeles. This is the trial of Keith D. Davis. Now, Keith D. Davis, he was a Crips boss. He was a boss in the Crips. If you know anything about South Central, if you love your 90s Cali rap, you know about the Bloods and the Crips. The Crips are blue and the Bloods are red. And Tupac, who... all right, we'll go into what Tupac was, because I don't know if enough people talk about what Tupac is. The image of Tupac versus who Tupac really was as a person are two completely different things. But Tupac was not gang affiliated. Tupac was not a Blood or a Crip. Suge Knight was. Suge Knight was a Blood. He was a pretty high up guy in the Bloods, and Death Row Records seduced Tupac when he went west, and he became, part of Death Row, which was a Blood label. Back to the Crips. The Crips and the Bloods, they've been fighting there in Los Angeles for control of South Central LA for, since probably the Watts riots back there in the 1960s, maybe even before that, I'm not sure. But the stories have been told in hip-hop songs since, the late 80s about the issues going on in South Central Los Angeles. So these are the players. Keith D. Davis, he was a leader of the Crips. Murdered was leader or one of the shot callers, as they call it, for the Bloods, Suge Knight, who ran Death Row Records. So you've got Keith Davis, who is a Crip, and you've got Suge Knight, who is a Blood. Tupac, who was neither, he was from Baltimore. So he grew up in Baltimore. Tupac's entire bio is a lie. Tupac's entire, thug for life. Oh, please. I'll tell you about Tupac. I've done a lot of research on who Tupac actually was. All right, so Tupac's not gang affiliated, but because of the record business and all that kind of stuff, he gets tangled up with Suge, and so now it looks like, at least everybody, that Tupac is a part of the Bloods. All right. Keith Davis, Keith D, if you will, the man who was standing trial in Los Angeles, he's not believed to be the trigger man. That's Orlando Anderson. Orlando Obedi something. He's got a rap name. Anyway, Orlando Anderson is considered to be the shooter, the guy who, when Suge Knight and Tupac were stopped at that stoplight outside the MGM Grand Garden, the car that pulled up next to him was filled with Crips. Orlando Anderson is the man believed to have pointed the gun out the window and fired the fatal shots that killed Tupac and also struck Suge Knight in the head. Orlando Anderson. Orlando Anderson is dead. Orlando Anderson died like 20 years ago in some other gang bullshit, right? So the trigger man is accounted for. What we have now are the people who are in the car. And of the people who are in the car, Keith Davis, Keith D, is considered the shot caller. He is the boss of the Crips who are in the car, who apparently gave the order to do the shooting. Orlando did the shooting. Orlando is dead. Keith has been talking about it for years. Keith has been doing interviews where he's like, yeah, and then Orlando pulled the gun out. And Keith D wrote a book about he got money, where he admitted all of this knowledge and how he was the one who greenlit the killing of Tupac Shakur. And now 30 years later, he's finally going to stand trial for it. So here's what happened. Let me show you, because this is such a crazy story. The murder of Tupac. Okay, let me tell you about Tupac first of all, okay? Can I just tell you about Tupac? Because whatever it is that you think about Tupac, oh, thug! Tupac was a theater kid, people. Tupac was a song and dance man. He went to the high school for performing arts in Baltimore, where he fell in love with Jada Pinkett Smith. She's now Smith then. Yeah, did you know that story? You know the story about Tupac and Jada in high school? They thought he was gay. They called him gay in high school. He was a drama, a theater kid, Tupac, who adopted the role of thug for life. That's who Tupac was. You look into it. He wasn't this guy who, we think he is. Well, Tupac, we had street cred. No, he did not. He did everything that he could to accumulate the perception of street cred. But Tupac was a theater kid raised by intellectuals. Tupac wasn't raised in some tenement by a bunch of his mom was a crack dealer, his dad was a crack dealer in prison, and his mom was a prostitute. No. Tupac was raised by college professors, activists, and intellectuals, and sent to a high school for performing arts because he wanted to be a song and dance man. And then that all coincided with the rise of hip hop, and he had a look, and he had a brand, and he sold it, and people bought it. And it ended up killing him because Tupac got involved with the wrong people. He was unaffiliated, and he started to go around like he was a blood, and the Crips didn't like that. Tupac was not a blood, yet here he is out there representing death row, rolling with Suge Knight, and it was a problem. Now, that's not enough to get you killed, really. It's just enough to get people to go, oh, that guy's a phony. What got Tupac killed? So we've seen this video. After the Tyson fight, after the Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight there at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, we've seen over the years the closed circuit video of the brawl that occurred there in the casino. As people were coming out of the Tyson fight, people got sideways and a big brawl broke out. We know that Tupac and Tupac's entourage were involved in this brawl. We also know now that Keith D. Davis, the man standing trial 30 years later, starting on Monday, we believe, for the murder of Tupac, was also involved in this. So let me show you. Let's watch the MGM. This is the closed circuit from the MGM fight, because this is integral to what would happen in the hours following this, okay?
They don't want us to know.
Once again, this was 1996, September of 1996. Mike Tyson fought at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. He defeated Bruce Seldon, big, as whenever Tyson would fight, big celebrity outpouring. So this is closed circuit video. Oh, jeez Louise, I did it again. All right, here we go. So this is closed circuit video from the MGM Grand Garden. We're not going to watch all of it. It's very long, but I will show you some key points here. Okay. We don't need the music for effect. All right. I'm looking for the guy in the jersey. Look for a guy in a white. There it is. Okay. So this guy right here, right? Okay. This is the entourage of Keith Davis. This is the entourage of Keith D., the man who is standing trial. I believe the man in the jersey is Orlando Anderson. He's dead now, but the man in the jersey here is the guy who is believed by everybody to have pulled the trigger that killed Tupac while he was sitting at the stoplight. So, okay, so let's watch him. So Orlando Anderson. Is he wearing a Dan Marino jersey? Is that a Miami Dolphins Dan Marino jersey? All right. I don't know what we're seeing here in this closed circuit TV, but what does need to be mentioned that I failed to do was a week before this, 1 week before this, this man here, Orlando Anderson, apparently walked up to Tupac and his entourage in a mall. Tupac was in a mall somewhere in Southern California. He was with a group of people. And this guy, Anthony Anderson, who is a card-carrying member of the Crips street gang in Los Angeles, at the mall, walked up to Tupac 1 week before this and snatched the chain from around his neck. Just walked up and snatched it. Why did he feel he could do that? Because of what I told you before. Tupac wasn't respected. He was seen as a poser. He was seen as a guy who was not either a Crip or a Blood, but was somehow caucusing with the Bloods. So this Crip saw him at the mall, Orlando Anderson, and went, you know what? I'm going to bitch that little punk. Walked up, said, hey, snatched his fucking gold chain and just walked away. Not a damn thing Tupac could do about it, because Tupac wasn't running with his hardcore buddies then. He was just theater boy Pac. So Anthony Anderson snatched the gold chain and just walked away. Okay, that was a week before this. Now, both of these parties, they're again here in the lobby of the MGM Grand. This is why the fight started, because Tupac is now no longer at the mall with his other theater friends, unable to defend himself from the scary Crip who snatched his chain. No, now Tupac is feeling himself. He's surrounded by his entourage of thugs and scary guys and Suge Knight. And he sees this guy, and Tupac's crew apparently try to stomp this guy. Okay, so here, this is where it's going to start. So again, we're talking about Tupac and his crew coming across another crew that humiliated Tupac at a mall a week before. Tupac looking for revenge. Keep your eye on the right side here. This is where the fight starts. This is where Tupac's guys find the... Here they go. There it is. All right. So here's the fight. Look at this guy. This guy's wearing like a white suit. He's got a crazy hat. They're just kicking. Security guards doing nothing. All right, so here is what's happening here. The person being attacked is in the Crip crew. Here comes Tupac and his guys. Okay, so Tupac's and his guys, the Bloods. You see Suge Knight right here leading the way. They are now storming away after putting a beat down on Orlando Anderson. All right. Now, what you have to remember for context here is after this, they all jumped in cars and drove away. Tupac would be dead within the hour. Here, apparently we're seeing another side of this fight. Let's... All right, so I don't know what we're looking at here, but anyway, you understand what was going on, right? Okay, so to set the stage for you, a week prior, Tupac got clowned at the mall and got a gold chain snatched, called a poser by the actual Crip. A week later, they're all together, not with one another, but they're all just happenstance together at the Bruce Seldon, Mike Tyson fight in Vegas. Tupac, now with his army of thugs, sees the guy who humiliated him at the mall and says, boys, go stomp him. So the boys go and stomp him. And then Tupac and his clan, they run. They run. They get in their cars and they drive away. Cut to the next hour, like within the next hour. So Orlando Anderson and his crew, which includes the man on trial now for the murder of Tupac, Keith D. Orlando and his crew are like, man, we got to find that motherfucker. We got to blah, blah. You know, that whole thing. They're hot. They're angry. They got jumped. Tupac ran. They ran. They're gone. So Keith D and Orlando Anderson and a couple of other people, they load into a car and they start driving around. They are looking for Pac. They are trying to find him. Finally, they see a whole bunch of people on a street corner going crazy. They're like, it's Pac and Suge, it's Pac and Suge. And they're running up and they're signing autographs. And that's when Keith D, Orlando Anderson, and the carload of Crips pull up right alongside Suge Knight. Suge Knight's driving. And the car that Tupac was in. That's when Orlando Anderson pulled the gun, went pop, 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 killed him, sped off. For 30 years, nobody could solve this crime. For 30 years, there seemed to be very little interest in solving this crime, despite the fact that everybody that was in that car with Keith D, everybody in that car is dead now. Keith D's the only one alive. And for the last 20 years, he's been giving interviews and he's been talking about, he wrote a book about how he did this. And so now finally we are getting the trial. How about this? Let's listen to this. Let's listen to Keith. Here's Keith telling the story himself about what went down. This is what they are using, his own interviews and his own book against him. This is what he's being charged with. The evidence that the prosecutors are bringing in this trial are almost entirely his own words. Shit that he has said. Here he is. This is Keith D. We'll listen to a little bit of this. This is from about 15 years ago. Now, let me tell you what happened, I think, with Keith D. I think, as I said, this trial, this murder, 30 years in the making. This happened 30 years ago. I think that once you get about 10 years outside the murder, Keith D, he's now like a retired shot caller with the Crips. I don't know if he ever retire, but he's an older man now. He's in unk status. You know what I mean? None of the youngins give him any respect. So he's got to start, blowing his legacy. He's got to start telling people. So about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe he starts feeling comfortable that nobody's ever going to solve the Tupac thing. And he wants a little bit of street cred in the community because the youngins, they don't remember what unk was back in the day. So he starts talking and he starts talking and he starts doing shit like this. All right, let's watch. Here it is. Keith D.
So let's talk about what happens next. Based on what the book says, Zip gave you guys a Glock, and you guys tossed it in the back seat. And Bubble Up was a driver, and Baby Lane and Freaky were in the back seat.
We were just all in the car together. Just say that.
This was the white.
Bubble Up, Baby Lane, Freaky, Keith D. I think Orlando Anderson is Bubble Up. I think that's Orlando Anderson. Bubble Up.
A Cadillac.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are driving around, and then you hear these girls say, Tupac, Tupac.
No, we coming up, what's the name? What's that, Flamingo? Yeah, I think that's Flamingo. We was coming up Flamingo and got to the light. We was going to go drink and smoke some weed, and he happened to be hanging out the window. He was hanging out the window like he was in a parade.
Tupac.
Yeah, he was.
So what happens next?
And we just came, and shit. I ain't gonna go into details like that, you know what I'm saying? But, you got it in a book. You done played it, everything else, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, in the book, you said that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Suge driving and Tupac in the passenger seat, and you said that Tupac pulled out a gun.
It looked like he was reaching, yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see a gun?
No, shit. Once he got the reaching, I got the ducking.
So someone from your car
That's what happened.
started shooting at Tupac and Suge.
Lane starts blasting. You say Suge looks over, you see.
All right, this is the police interview from years before the interview we just saw. The interview that we just saw was from about 15 years ago. This is a police interview from 20 years ago.
You? He looks right at you?
Yeah,
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in
of
the back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando.
By the way, interesting story. The way he just said there, I saw a bullet go into Suge's head. I thought he was dead. Suge Knight took a bullet right in the head and seems to have just walked it off. Anyway, the interesting thing about Keith D here and Suge Knight, is that they grew up on the same block. They're the same age. They went to school together their entire lives and actually played football together and were very good friends. Boy, that's what gang affiliation will do, huh? This guy grew up lifelong friends on the same block as Suge Knight, Keith D, and then here he finds himself in, the late summer of 1996. I saw a bullet go in Suge's head. I mean, just weird. Joining a team. They joined different teams. Suge joined the Bloods. He joined the Crips.
Across Dre?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando shot across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They would drove on my side. I would popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
I'm not gonna go into details on that one. Keep your streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm gonna go.
All right. Well, we're gonna go into detail starting on Monday. We're gonna get all the details on what exactly happened. Of course, he did it. Yeah, I didn't think he pulled the trigger. I believe the stories he's been telling. Makes perfect sense when you see the video, when you understand that this was a problem that began a week earlier at a mall in Southern California where Tupac was humiliated by Orlando Anderson, Bubble Up, who saw Tupac at a mall and walked up and just snatched his chain. This was Tupac feeling himself, getting a little bit of revenge, and then it was the other guys getting the ultimate revenge. All right, so we're going to get all of these details. They're going to come out on Monday. 30 years. Doesn't really seem like the crime of the century, guys. I got to be honest. I don't know why it's taken 30 years to get here. This does not seem like... All right. Let's see here. What else do we have? Barney says most gangster rappers were AV nerds. Looking at you, Dr. Dre. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak to, the last 25 years or so. But the first people, the first hip hop guys, the icons of early hip hop were all dorks. They were nerds who were like in their bedrooms doing something, not hanging out with the rest of the guys, just being weird dorks. Cool. And it turns out they weren't dorks because they were doing something totally cool. The rest of us were dorks, but you're not too far off. A lot of people like in rock bands and stuff like that, not necessarily musicians, but frontmen in bands, garage bands, local bands, whatever it is, and hip hop MCs. A lot of these people come from artistic and creative backgrounds. Like the lead singer of the band, he's almost always a theater kid. Like, yeah, they just enjoy, performing and all that kind of stuff. And hip hop guys like Tupac, Dre. I don't know that Dre got good grades. Dre was like a straight A student, so he was kind of a nerd in some way. Trying to think of some of the other guys. Tupac, definitely a nerd. I don't think Snoop was a nerd. I think Snoop was always cool. I think Snoop was just organic. I think he just became a thing. I don't know. celebrity, stardom, whatever you're famous for, your brand, that's almost always concocted. I don't care if you're a hip hop guy or Keith Richards or whatever your brand is, it's almost always amplified to a cartoonish level. What's AV? Hold on. AV is the audio visual club for you young folk. Think Lucas from Stranger Things. Did you feel the need that you had to explain that, Barney? I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I'm looking, I get why you did. I'm like, holy shit, there's no such thing as AV clubs anymore. High schools used to have, AV clubs. It's the tech nerds before computers and stuff. It was the guy who could, hook up the VCR in class. That's what the AV, that's what tech bros were from our era. That's what we remember. All right, Mike checking back in. Mike's back. Mike's back. Checking back in. All right, Mike, you're accounted for. Sorry, just looking at some of the things I've missed there in the chat room. All right, let's see here. What else do we want to do? By the way, we're going to be covering the Tupac trial next week because, I love my trials. We got a couple of big trials coming up. We've got Luigi Mangione. He's going for a plea deal that could cause some form of double jeopardy that might totally screw the state of New York. We'll tell you all about that tomorrow. We're going to do the Mangione thing. Luigi Mangione, he's got his trial coming up. That's going to be a big one. No cameras. And Tupac, the Tupac trial starts on Monday. So I'm going to be into both of them. All right, let's do this next segment here. Let's get into some of the staples of every show. Let's do what we call Dick of the Day. Used to be Douche of the Day, but now it is Dick of the Day. This is a person out there being a dick, and I'm going to call him out. Today's Dick of the Day, Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson just gutted Trump last night on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's taking a break. And Anthony Anderson, he, of course, beloved, highly employable, constantly working. I mean, just like the default guy to host anything in Hollywood because he's great. Anthony Anderson filled in for Jimmy Kimmel. And he went after Trump. That's right. In Kimmel show fashion, Anthony Anderson went after Trump. Let's play this here. This is, oh no. Sorry, guys. This is going to take a minute here. I forgot what website I was using for this piece of video, and it's a terrible website. It's going to make me wait for a commercial now. So hold on. Let's listen to Anthony Anderson filling in for Jimmy Kimmel. He went after Trump pretty hard, and he is our Dick of the Day, and I'll tell you why he's our Dick of the Day after we listen to his little hunk here. 4, 3, 2, how many? Hold on. All right, here we go.
Although no state is going to be good to live in if these temperatures keep going up. Yeah, right? According to climate experts, July was the hottest month in America in more than 130 years. But don't take their word for it. Just ask this sweaty pumpkin.
America is the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it is. And if you think about it, 7 or 8 months ago, we were cold as ice.
The country is hot and hot as it can be. Our country is the hottest country in the world.
We right now have the hottest nation anywhere in the world.
I think we're the hottest country in the world right now.
We are the hottest country anywhere in the world.
The hottest country anywhere in the world.
The hottest country anywhere in the world.
The hottest country in the world.
The hottest country in the world.
The hottest.
The hottest.
The hottest.
The hottest.
And that sun is hot. I'll tell you.
Well, all I have to say is wait till he gets to hell.
All right, well, you expect that. I mean, the Kimmel audience has been primed for years now to expect that kind of a take on the president. No, I don't disagree with it. I mean, you know me, I don't like the guy. But here's where I call bullshit. Anthony Anderson is so confusing to me. I don't look, I've got thoughts on why this is happening. Maybe I'm too cowardly to actually say exactly why I think this is happening. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, what I think is happening makes zero sense. So it's not reasonable. But Anthony Anderson is one of the most bankable people in Hollywood as far as television goes. Can't open a movie. He's not a movie star. Nobody's going to go to a movie to see him. But as far as like having sitcom opportunities, hosting opportunities, it's the Emmy Awards hosted by Anthony Anderson. You know, he's just always getting work. Jimmy Kimmel, without a thought in the world, he's just going to let him host for him there while he's on vacation. Why do I find this so confusing? Well, one, just straight off the top, I don't get him. I don't get the appeal of Anthony Anderson. I don't think he's particularly good. I don't think he's particularly talented. He was in The Shield. He was in a season of The Shield opposite Glenn Close where he played a gang member. He was very good in that. I have not seen him really be good in anything else. I don't understand why he keeps getting all the work that he gets, especially when you consider his checkered past. This guy survived Me Too like nobody we've ever seen. And I can't explain it. I don't want to explain it because it's a troubling thought that I have on why Anthony Anderson has been allowed to continue working, keeps getting jobs, high-profile jobs, jobs with ABC Disney. This man has been accused credibly 4 times of rape and sexual assault over the last 10, 15 years. One of them completely went away. It was a civil case. He didn't even let it go to court. They just settled for a major amount. He's written checks to people to keep them quiet about his behavior. Most famously during the filming of Hustle and Flow. Do you remember the movie Hustle and Flow? This is the real troubling one. Look, it's compounded. The troubling aspects are compounded when after this one, there are numerous other ones. Like he didn't learn anything from this first one, but this first one, as far as the details, the things that occurred on the set of Hustle and Flow, they are the most disturbing and the most damning. He paid somebody. He paid the victim to go away, is what I think. I don't know. So what happened? This is back in 2004. Here, let me give you the story. Back in 2004, he was charged down in Mississippi with rape and 2004 rape charges while filming the movie Hustle and Flow in Memphis. A 25-year-old female extra accused Anderson and assistant director Wayne Witherspoon of luring her into a production trailer and then raping her. Anderson was arrested and charged with aggravated rape. Now, here's the story, and you can double check this. Multiple witnesses on the set of Hustle and Flow told police and testified to police that they saw her running naked and screaming hysterically from the trailer. Now, why was she running naked from the trailer? Because somebody was passing by the trailer and heard her banging and screaming for help. This person then apparently opened the trailer and she came running out naked. Inside the trailer was Anthony Anderson and assistant director Wayne Witherspoon. She was immediately taken to a hospital. An ambulance was called. She was taken to a hospital. She was given a rape kit. Police then interviewed people and arrested Anthony Anderson on the rape of this woman. Judge in Mississippi threw it out because apparently the victim didn't. I don't know. This is all speculation. I guess a check was written. I don't know. But apparently it all went away. So, just another crazy bitch trying to get her bag of gold from some innocent male celebrity. Multiple witnesses watched her. One witness in particular had to let her out of the trailer because she was banging and screaming, "Let me out, let me out." When the door pops open, she emerges naked, hysterical, running. They calm her down. They call an ambulance. She goes to the hospital. A rape kit is administered. She claims that she was raped by Anthony Anderson and Assistant Director Wayne Witherspoon. Now, the judge in Mississippi, he dropped all the charges because there was nothing to go forward with because the victim was like, never showed up. There was a civil lawsuit later that same year, it says a different woman, a second woman filed by the way, this is 2004 too. So don't get yourself all twisted defending Anthony Anderson, thinking that this happened during the height of Me Too. And that, women were just coming forward looking for a payday. This was in 2004. These are multiple charges in 2004. Allegations. I shouldn't say charges. Charges suggest authorities are involved. Allegations. A different woman filed a civil lawsuit again in 2004 against Anderson, alleging sexual assault on the set of his short-lived canceled television series, All About the Andersons. He raped a woman on Hustle and Flow, but that story went away. So ABC Disney went, let's give you a family-friendly sitcom, All About the Anderson. That show sucked. That show got canceled. Another woman comes forward and says, hey, he also tried to rape me. And then ABC Disney responds with, hey, let's give him Blackish. Let's give him another show. Everybody likes this. He's America's favorite rapist. Let's see here. A different woman filed a civil lawsuit again in 2004 against Anderson, alleging sexual assault on the set of his short-lived canceled television series, All About the Andersons. The lawsuit alleged that Anderson made suggestive comments and grabbed her genitals. This was a civil suit, and it went away rather quickly. Let's fast forward to the Me Too time, right? Because this is when you would think that, if he got accused during Me Too for something completely different, or maybe they brought back the 2004 allegations in Me Too, well, that certainly should have stuck. No, didn't. Nothing stuck. Back in 2018, there was a Los Angeles Police Department investigation. A woman who catered an event for Anderson filed a report with the LAPD claiming that he assaulted her during a follow-up meeting to discuss future business opportunities. Why his career has remained intact is a question Hollywood insiders have been asking for years. That I am asking this. How has his career remained unblemished? How is Anthony Anderson being trotted out by ABC Disney to fill in for Jimmy Kimmel, and nobody is saying, isn't this guy an accused rapist? Hey, I'm not allowed to like Aziz Ansari anymore because he shot his shot with a girl once. Louis C.K. is not allowed to have anything anymore because he got drunk at a party when he was in his 20s and pulled his dick out. But Anthony Anderson is hosting the NAACP Awards. You are today's dick of the day, Anthony Anderson. Seriously. Yeah, he hosted just a couple of months ago. He hosted the NAACP Awards, and I'm watching this and I'm going, we are in the upside down. Nothing makes sense anymore. Jeez Louise. All right, there you go. That's our dick of the day, Anthony Anderson. I am never going to allow an opportunity to pass by where I don't get to slam that son of a bitch. I don't understand how he has been given a free pass, whereas everybody else, careers have been just absolutely destroyed. And Anthony Anderson, with 3, maybe 4 rape allegations in his past, seems to be getting better and better and more work. It makes no sense. I have a theory. I'm just not brave enough to share it with you. All right. Let's see here. Here. I wanted to mention this. Okay, so let's get into this because this is weirdness, and I love Maddie, but this is weirdness. She says, I see we're laboring under the delusion that patriarchal society gives a shit about the rape of women. Yeah, we did. For about 4 years there during Me Too, we destroyed a whole bunch of people's careers based on nothing more than allegations. And I'm not saying that all of that wasn't deserved. A lot of them are quite clearly bad actors and terrible people, and their comeuppance came no sooner than we could have wanted. But there were a lot of people, a lot of men who did very minor things that in the shock jock era of American society weren't considered damnable offenses, okay? And a lot of people were run up the flagpole, careers destroyed, but Anthony Anderson's wasn't. So, I mean, I see what you're saying here. You're like, I see we are laboring under the delusion that patriarchal society gives a shit about rape of women. Well, they do. They certainly did, which is why I can't understand why this guy has been given a pass. You seem to be suggesting that all guys who are accused of rape seem to get away with it. And I'm telling you, that ain't the case. And that's why we're talking about Anthony Anderson, because he is the exception who seems to have gotten away with it without nobody even talks about this but me. Nobody. He just keeps getting work. And your aunt, God love her, I like him. He's one of the good ones. So I don't know. I don't know what Maddie's getting into. Okay. Give me another. Give me another guy whose career has improved exponentially in the Me Too era, despite having 3 legitimate rape accusations against him. Please, Maddie, you're saying that I am wrong and that Anthony Anderson is not the exception. Please give me another. You know, there's one. There is one. You can say President Trump and you'd be right. But that's it. That's the only other one. That's it. President Trump and Anthony Anderson, they're the only ones who have seemed to have gotten more popular despite having a well-documented history of being a sex pest, a rapist. Let's just call him a rapist. All right, there we go. All right, let's see here. What else do I want to talk about today? I want to get to this one finally because I love this, and it'll roll us into our 3 videos and the end of the show. I just spent 2 months in very close quarters, very, very close quarters with, do we not have it? Hold on a second. I can't believe it. Did I lose my little, I wanted to do my whole... All right. I guess we'll just, yeah. All right. Hold on. All right, let's do this one. All right, here we go. I've been wanting to do this because I thought this was really interesting. I found this article that tries to explain the different generations that are currently making up American society. Different outlooks, different eras. We matriculated in different ways and different times with different fears and different hopes and different dreams. The world changes, people change, generations are different from one another. I've just spent 2 months with somebody who is a fine representative, if you will, of Gen Z. I am Gen X. My mother is a boomer. I have friends who are millennials. My grandparents were the greatest generation. Okay, so those, and I don't know any alphas. Do you? I mean, I guess I know some Gen Alphas, but they're little kids, so I don't pay attention to them. Right? I don't have a Gen Alpha. I've got a Gen Z. So, all right. Cannot be denied that American civilized society is at its lowest point ever. I don't know. Well, maybe Civil War was a little bit worse, but as far as I'm concerned, civilized society is at its lowest point ever. And I found an article that tries to explain what exactly is happening, why there is a disconnect between people who in times past wouldn't have this strong of a disconnect. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that completely different human beings exist than ever existed before. Gen Z, maybe even young millennials were the first of this, the digital generation. You know, everybody else is analog. Everybody else comes from, you know, a different time, whether you're boomers, the greatest generation, or Gen X, or some of your older millennials. We come from a completely different time than anything that, you know, we can say is normal for a Gen Z or a young millennial, if you will. I always say that when I was, 6 years old and there was nothing to watch on TV, I would watch shit at 6 years old. I would watch shit like Lou Grant. I would watch Rich Man, Poor Man, which was like a very adult miniseries from the 1970s. And I'm 6 years old and I'm watching this shit because there's nothing else to watch. I don't have a million channels. I got 3 channels. Yeah. So I'm watching Rich Man, Poor Man. At least it's the story. And at 6 years old, I was made aware of, the struggles of divorce and infidelity and cheating on your wife and, all of that stuff. Not by choice, just by osmosis, because it was on, because I was there and I was exposed to it. We have generations now that will never experience anything like that. They won't learn something just because it was there and it was on and they watched it, because everything for these generations are now on demand. Like, we used to look forward to Saturday mornings. Like, you'd be like Thursday, it's like Thursday. I'm 10 years old and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for Captain Planet on Saturday morning. Right? So we did. We waited. And in the meantime, we came home from school and we watched news or whatever. The ABC afternoon movie, which was Rich Man, Poor Man. So what I'm saying is that we have life experiences that we didn't choose to have, and we have knowledge of things that we weren't interested in until it was just in front of us, and now we're like, I'm 6 years old. That's how divorce works. Kids today will never have that because everything is a candy store. Everything is exactly what they want. The on-demand world of, it's midnight on a Wednesday and, a kid wants to watch some cartoons, he can. Anyway, this has changed the way we're wired, and it's changed the way that we view the world, the way we accept things, the way we react to inconveniences. We're all used to being inconvenienced. Like, everybody that was born before the year 2000 expects a certain amount of inconvenience in our day. Other generations, the later ones, maybe they don't. So I found this interesting article and I wanted to share with you some of the things. What they were able to do here is they broke down each generation, at least the generations that are still to an extent active in our society, and sort of gave a one-sentence summation of what this generation is all about. So here are the generations, okay? Here's how they follow, right? So the generations that are actually active currently in our society is the silent generation. The silent generation was born between 1928 and 1945, okay? So these are our older people, right? Silent generation. Then we got the boomers. We all know about the boomers. The boomers are from 1946 to 1964. Anyone born between that window, you, sir, are a boomer. Then comes me and my kind. We are Gen X, 1965 to 1980. 1965 to 1980. That is Gen X. Millennials, 1981 to 1996. Gen Z, 1997 to 2012. And the little ones, the oldest of which are 13 years old, Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha, 2013 to 2025. Okay, so these are the generations and the groups of people that make up current American civilized society. Now, what are the silent generation about? Silent generation, 1928 to 1945. These are the people who went through the Depression. They defeated Hitler. They basically are responsible for the Cold War. That's who these people are. Here's what sums up the silent generation or the greatest generation. I've heard it both ways, silent and greatest. Silent because they keep their mouth shut, because they grew up in a time when nobody wanted to hear from you. Silent generation, they followed the rules, they kept their heads down, and they built America quietly. That's the silent generation. Following rules, keeping your head down, don't draw attention to yourself, and just do the work that made America the greatest country on earth. That's the silent generation, 1928 to 1945. Baby boomers. Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. This is probably the most disliked generation of people, right? Like if there is like one group of people that all the other generations are like, yeah, they suck, it's baby boomers. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the baby boomers, especially for someone like me, Gen X, when I was coming of age, when I was matriculating, I was force-fed endless bullshit about how pious and decent the baby boomers were, how they took to the streets and they tried to change the world and make it a better place. And then the 80s and cocaine came and they all turned into fucking monsters. That's the reputation of the baby boomers. Good people. These are the people who raised us. We love them on a one-on-one basis. But as a generation, these are the people who bought their home for $40,000 in 1986, and now it's sold for $4 million. The last generation that will ever have that, the baby boomers, the children of the silent generation, the children of the World War II people, the baby boomers are the last generation that will ever have the American promise fulfilled with the American dream. That's it. They're the last ones. Baby boomers, 1946, 1964. And I think that's the reason that a lot of people are angry at the baby boomers, especially millennials. See, Gen X, we don't really hate the baby boomers. We're sort of like the baby boomer interpreters for millennials, because we Gen X, the baby boomers were our parents and we love them. And yes, we know their generation as a whole was awful. I mean, just the worst. They made every bad decision. Anyway, they destroyed this country. Anyway, but we Gen Xers, we love them because they're our parents. And we know that one-on-one, they're good people. But as a whole, they're awful. So this brings us to Gen X, 1965 to 1980. We came up under the baby boomers. We saw the baby boomers. The baby boomers, by the way, were a massive generation, huge. These were the babies that were born when we won the war. We came home. The suburbs exploded with new babies. The baby boom. And then they had Gen X. Baby boomers had Gen X. Gen X, smallest generation. We are the tiniest of the generations between 1965 and 1980. We're on the heel of the big baby boom. Gen X, why are we? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly why we're the smallest generation, why there's so few of us among our ranks, because it was our generation, Generation X, 1965 to 1980. We were the first group of Americans to actually view divorce as normal. It's just normal. Half of our Gen X families were destroyed by divorce between 1970 and 1990. Every one of them. Divorce and what is the other reason? Didn't want to go here. Gen X is also the generation that had untold numbers of our peoples aborted. We were the abortion generation. Yeah, the baby boomers who all got pregnant during the summer of love, they ended up aborting half of our generation. Smaller families, single mothers, that whole thing, all of those things contributed to Gen X. My generation, 1965 to 1980, the smallest of the generations. What is it about Gen X? If we learn that the baby boomers lived large, bought everything, and are now, we didn't do that. Yeah, baby boomers, they lived large, they bought everything, and now they're gatekeeping everything. That's the boomers. Gen X is trusts no one, complains never, and secretly runs the world. I disagree with that. All right, so let's follow up these one-sentence diagnoses or explainers on the generations. Silent generation, 1928 to 1945, followed the rules, kept their heads down, and built America quietly. Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964, lived large, bought everything, now gatekeeping everything. That's boomers. And Gen X, 1965 to 1980, trusts no one, complains little, secretly runs the world. I think we do secretly run the world. I mean, when you look at like almost everybody who's like really important on something is a Gen Xer. So, but we do keep our mouth shut. We do trust nobody. We were the generation who witnessed our parents completely selling out. And we witnessed it at a time when we were our most, when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, right? When you're that age, that's when you're your most radical. That's when you're the most, I see the world that's being laid before me and I don't like it and I want to make change. That's what you do at 18, 19, 20. What was Gen X sort of viewing from their parents around that time? Well, it's the mid 80s. It's the late 80s, maybe early 90s. And we saw our baby boomer parents just completely go yuppie scum. They just became yuppie scumbag. All of these things about the Woodstock generation and free love and decency and end all wars and peace and all that, it was all fucking bullshit. They turned right in front of our eyes. Gen X, we watched our parents. I, as a kid, had a hippie mom. Well, my mom was always cool. But my point is this. My point is, we watched our parents go from hippies to Wall Street bros. So that's why we trust no one. And as far as Gen X complaining little, I mean, who's going to listen? Nobody gives a shit to us. We were latchkey kids. Nobody listened to us when we were 10 years old. What, they're going to listen now? Shut up. We'll just do our thing. All right, that's the third generation that is occupying society. Let's talk about the fourth one, millennials. A whole bunch of you are millennials, 1981 to 1996. It says here, millennials chased purpose, got burnout, still pretending they're okay. Millennials are an interesting generation in that millennials is the generation that people tried to fix the mistakes of Gen X. Gen X, we're first generation divorced kids. It's like, yeah, we don't need home care for kids, right? They can just, mom can be at work. They can come home to an empty house. They just wear a little key around their neck. That'll be fine. Well, we got cereal at home. They can sit in front of the TV and eat cereal. Wait for mom to come back, from her 9 to 5. That's who we were, Gen X. Ain't nobody gave a fuck about us. They were practicing. Yeah, well, what happened if kids didn't have parents? Let's see if they can raise themselves. That's who we were. We overcorrected with millennials. The helicopter parent came in. People looked at the way the previous generation had come up and went, we're not going to do that. We're going to overhover. We're going to give participation trophies and teach them about their feelings and all that stuff. All things that at the time we probably mocked. They're probably good things, though. I don't know. I don't know if somebody from the silent generation who, woke up on a Sunday morning in Hawaii to view Pearl Harbor on his front doorstep. I don't know if that guy's going to be like, you need to be in touch with your feelings. But whatever. People evolve. I'm going to just come out and say it. Millennials are kind of pussies. They're kind of pussies, but especially when you compare it to the way Gen X kind of has a mindset, millennials are pussies. They're soft. All right. Millennials chased purpose, got burnout, still pretending they're fine. The fifth group, Gen Z. Gen Z, I've got a 17-year-old son. He is a card-carrying member of Gen Z. Gen Z questions everything, trusts nothing, and feels everything. That is 100% dead on, as far as I've been able to observe of my son. Gen Z questions everything because everything's a lie and a manipulation. They understand this now. Maybe we were too trusting. Maybe the millennials, the Gen Xers, and the baby boomers or whatever. Maybe we were too trusting when somebody said something, somebody in a position of authority. Maybe we just went with that as fact. Gen Z doesn't do that. Gen Z trusts nothing. Gen Z is all about fact checking in real time, and that's not exactly true. And Gen Z trusts nothing. From a very, or probably the earliest age of any of the generations, they looked at the world and went, oh, this is bullshit. And it might have to do with their access to the outside world. We trusted things because we had no way to not trust them. These kids today, they hear something, they distrust it, they go on the internet, and they find a million different things that'll tell them why this is nonsense. Gen Z, 1997 to 2012, they question everything, they trust nothing, and they feel everything. This brings us to Gen Alpha. These are the little babies running around, 2013 to 2025, 13-year-old. That is the oldest of Gen Alpha. It says here they were born with iPads and raised by YouTube. Their future is unknown. Yeah. All right, one more time. I'm going to run down these, okay? These are the I thought these were all just really terrific one-sentence breakdowns, although some of them are a bit simplistic. Silent generation. They followed the rules. They kept their heads down, and they built America quietly. Baby boomers. They lived large. They bought everything, and they're now gatekeeping everything. Gen X. Hey, that's me. We trust no one. We complain very little, and we secretly run the world. Maybe. Millennials. Chased purpose, got burnout, and are currently still pretending they're fine. Gen Z questions everything, trusts nothing, feels everything. Well, I got to stop down on that again. I really think that one nails my kid. Trust Gen Z questions everything. Like you can't, everything is questioned. The news, they sit there and they watch the news. We used to watch the news. Like 1987, I would watch the news and then I would go to somebody and I would say, hey, do you want to hear a fact that's true? And I would tell them what I just learned on the news. That's not how Gen Z looks at the news. My kid sits and watches, CNN with me and he just doesn't believe any of it. It's a different way of, being informed. And then Gen Alpha, it says Gen Alpha. Born with iPads, raised by YouTube, their future is unknown. All right. I thought that was an interesting little article. Where did that come from? Well, where did that article come from? I don't care. It doesn't matter. None of you are going to look it up. Why do I even care? Anyway, it's out there. You can find it if you want. Let's see here. One more time. What do we got here? Let's do videos. Yeah, let's do that. All right. 1, 2, 3 videos. 3 pieces of viral video that I've seen circulating that I wanted to share with you because they're fun. Let's talk about them. They're fun. Here we go. The first one, 3 video. Okay. I like this one because I've got some thoughts. Let's watch it. This is a guy who is, he's challenged himself. For some reason, I have no idea why he would do this, but he has challenged himself to eat nothing but Chinese buffets for ever. I don't know. He's doing it for a while. So here he is. Look at him. Look at that place. What's that say? Asian buffet. We all know these places. We all know. I know them because of Texas. We don't really have these here. Like this level of Chinese restaurant is not really a thing, at least not in the Chicagoland area, because we have a very vibrant and very big Chinese community, and we've got a very big Chinatown, and every suburb has a really good Chinese restaurant that is affiliated with Chinatown. So we don't have these weird fly-by-night Chinese buffets. But man, in Texas, they did. I went to a couple. My buddy Wayne was way into them. And I went to one of these Chinese buffets, these all-you-can-eat buffets with him once. And I remember looking at this food going, this is fucking prison food. What Are you insane? All right, so here we go. This hero, he says he's got a 64-day. He's got 64 days, and all he's going to do for 64 days is eat at Chinese buffet restaurants. Let's check on him and see how it's going.
64 of eating at every Chinese buffet I can until I get food poisoning. And today we're at the Asian buffet in Lima, Ohio. And this one has 2.5 stars on Yelp. They're delivering with that DoorDash. This buffet cost me $31.
$31. $31. Okay. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, man. Okay. All right. Come on, get to
For
some.
2 people. We got that quality taco. I'm gonna need a referee.
Okay. Okay, I don't know what that is. That's ain't a taco.
On this to make sure this is a taco.
Look at the color orange on that macaroni. That is just
Anything, it looked like a miniature burrito. Is this regulation, you think? This is awful. That burrito was sweet. It had no beef in it. I have no clue what's in there. Like crab or something? Like crab and bread? It's horrible. Crab rangoons. I'm familiar with this shape, but they don't look filled. We'll see if we're gooning, boys. Oh yeah, they were doing fucking exorcisms in here, man. I don't even know what the fuck's going on anymore, dude. This place is stressing me the fuck out. Like, is that fucking milk or something? Like, just seeing this shit makes me not want to.
Why is corn in milk? Why do they not care? They don't care at all about presentation. That looks disgusting. Just a bunch of corn in the. Oh my god.
Is that fucking milk or something? Like, just seeing this shit makes me not want to do this anymore. It's just stressing me the fuck out. What is this cheese? It looks radioactive. Oh my gosh. Plate number 1.
Oh god.
We got the milk corn.
Milk corn. Got the milk corn.
It just needs to be cooked a little longer. It's very sweet. Well, I got this crab rangoon. I'm gooning. Not 9 to 5, but maybe like 9 to 2. I got the cheese mussel.
All right, what is a cheese mussel? What? That is clearly some kind of seafood shell, and he's under the belief that it's cheese on the shell.
That wasn't cheese. That was mayonnaise.
Oh. All right, there you have it. He's a hero. 64 days. 64 days. He's going to do nothing but eat at every Chinese all-you-can-eat buffet that he's going to find. Oh, my God. That's video number 1. All right, let's see here. How about this one? Let's go to Texas, huh? Here's this comes to us from Mesquite. Call this Mesquite Mayhem. This happened in an apartment complex. This is troubling. We'll watch it and then we'll break it down a little and we'll try and figure out what exactly is happening here. Here's an apartment complex in Mesquite. This is okay. So here's what we got here. We got this person pulling out of this parking spot here. We got a whole bunch of, I don't know, apartment critters. We'll call them just people who live in the apartment, hanging out. Apartment teens. Oh my God. A gaggle of teens who all live in an apartment complex. Oh, you better run. Oh, nothing but trouble when teenage apartment dwellers hang out. All right. So this guy's pulling out. All right, let's see what happens here. I don't know. I hate the music. We don't need the music. If there's no sound, we don't need music. All right, so he's pulling out. It looks like he's having difficulty parallel. No, he's not parallel parking, but which is wilder. He's having trouble just parking between the lines. Looks like he's struggling. And now it looks like the kids are making fun of him or her. I don't know who it is. Yeah, the kids are kind of mocking the parking job. Again, this is an apartment complex in Mesquite. All right, so now they're going to give it another try. This kid is really going for it. Oh, geez. All right. So this is, yeah. Side's going to, oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. No idea why that choice was made. Here, I do believe everyone gets away. This little girl right here, all right, this one in the middle, you would think something bad happens. Oh, God, Jesus. You know what? Now I'm thinking, I thought it was this one. I'm pretty sure this one on the right gets away. Oh, my God. Now I'm just realizing that we're watching this video, and I'm not sure this little girl gets out of there. See it again. This one right here, this one's just taunting. This one doesn't have a fear in the world. Here it comes. Get out of the way. Okay, this one got out of the way. Okay, that one got hit. All right, there's the little one. All right, the little one got out of the way. And then here's the one that was in front. All right, so it looks like everybody's fine. Let's watch it again. Now we can enjoy this. Again, this comes to us from an apartment complex in Mesquite. And they're like, ha ha, you can't park, ha ha. And they're like, how dare you yell at me, little kids? And they're like, ha ha, you can't park. We're going to make fun of you. And they're like, ha ha. And he's like, fuck, I'm going to lose my shit. Okay, this decision here, I mean, this is somebody obviously that needs to be put in jail for a very long time. There was a decision that was made. The decision was made right about here. And this person in this moment took themselves out of civilized society. They're not allowed to be here anymore. They're not allowed to make decisions because this decision to gun it because a bunch of kids were making fun of you. Oh, Jesus. All right, there you have it. As is the case always with these videos, I would have loved to have seen the next 30 seconds. They always cut too soon. It's like they cut it, and I'm like, I want to see what happened in the next 30 seconds because that's going to be very telling. There you go. That's video number 2 of our 1-2 tree videos. All right, you know what? We'll do this. Is this? I don't want to do that one. There's the third video that I have queued up here is a little bit heavy and it shouldn't be in this segment. 3 videos is usually not, and so I'm just going to move on from it. So there you have it. 3 videos. Today, just 2. All right. Now let's move on to our final thing. Let me check the chat room. I don't want to get into this with Maddie because maybe we'll get into this on her show, but we seem to be sideways. She seems to think that Anthony Anderson hasn't gotten away with anything or that he is not the exception, that all kinds of men have gotten away with, the exact same thing. And the reason that I'm distracted by this is because she mentions my old good friend, Mario Batali. Let's talk about Mario Batali. What are you saying about Mario? Are you saying that he did these things and there was no repercussion? Because Mario Batali lost everything. Everything. What do you mean Mario Batali and Anthony Anderson are the same? I hope that's not what you're saying, because she suggested Mario Batali, a man who lost everything, and a man who I can tell you, I've been to dinner with him multiple times. I actually went to dinner with him in New Orleans once. I was down in New Orleans. He did our show back in the day when he had his Food Network show and was very popular. If you remember, Kelly was a cook. Well, Mario was her favorite. And so Mario kind of became a regular on our show. One of the nicest, one of the most awesome dudes that I've ever met, who got to run around as a celebrity for a period of time. So I don't know if you are suggesting, Maddie, that Mario Batali got away with everything. He lost everything. He lost his book deals. He lost his television shows. He lost everything. So I'm going to push back on that. Tyler Perry? Well, I'm not really aware of what Tyler Perry has been accused of, but if you're telling me that the seriousness of what Tyler Perry has been accused of is of kin to what Anthony Anderson has been accused of, well, then we'll look at Tyler Perry. But I think that's another terrible example. Now, the example that you're dead on with, and I gave it to you, is Trump. Yes, Trump, despite all of that, seems like Anthony Anderson to have bucked the trends and somehow become an even bigger star and wealthier and more influential despite all of these attacks. But Mario Batali? No. He's a wonderful man. He is an absolutely wonderful man. Look, of the people that Louis C.K., wonderful guy. Just a wonderful guy. Really nice. A little awkward, a genius, an absolute genius. Apex of what it is that he does. Truly nice man. Truly nice man. And I can say a truly nice man when he wasn't famous, when he was just like a touring sort of, oh, I've heard of that guy before type comic, to when he was at the height of his thing, when he was doing Louis and he would still do call-ins for Kelly and I. He's a good guy. He's a good man. I don't believe he's a monster. Mario Batali, same thing. And I know that these are rare situations where, because of the job I used to do, I have had the opportunity to get to know these guys when the cameras aren't on or the microphones aren't lit. Right? Just seeing how they act as people. And Mario Batali and Louis C.K. are two people who had their career. Louis C.K., by the way, is rallying. Louis C.K. is back because he's a genius and you can't keep that shit down. It doesn't mean that the movie that he labored on, I Love You, Daddy, which, by the way, is a pretty good movie. It's very creepy, but it's a very good movie. I Love You, Daddy. That movie was set to be released like the day after the news came out that he was being canceled. They pulled it from the theaters. His career was fucked, man. I mean, but whatever. So I don't know. Louis C.K. and Mario Batali are two people that I know. I would say that I know them personally, and I would say that what happened to them is an absolute disgrace. I can speak specifically to Mario Batali because you know what Mario Batali is? And we used to joke about it. A hugger. Mario Batali is the guy, the warm Italian guy who hugs and and all of that kind of stuff. It's old school. He's got a very old school kind of vibe about him. I don't know that Kelly or Sybil or anybody else ever felt like they were being sexually assaulted by a big Mario Batali hug. Can't hug anymore. You can't as a grown. Now, I was never a big hugger to begin with. But it does kind of bother me now that, if I was a hugger, I can't hug people. Oh, so good to see you again. Oh my God, that creepy old man hugged me. I'm a millennial or a Gen Zer, and that is assault. I don't want to hug you anyway, but I'm just saying, if I wanted to hug you, now suddenly it's akin to being a rapist. Get the fuck out of here with that. All right, there we have it. Those are our 3 videos. And me arguing with Maddie. I wanted to have Maddie on tomorrow, but apparently she's busy. If she's free, then we'll talk about this. If you want, well, let's go. The charges against Mario Batali are absolutely insane. Stupid. Food Network woke bullshit firing that man. That man is wonderful. Let's do Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark, because there's another man out there who I also think is wonderful, and that is Pope Leo. Pope Leo. We're going to spend a little time on Pope Leo in an expanded version of Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark, which is our daily delving into America's pastime, baseball. My kid showed up this summer having a passing interest in baseball. My 17-year-old son went back to Texas just completely diehard about Major League Baseball this year. We couldn't do a lot this summer. Times are tight. Economy and whatnot, broke. Nobody tips the damn show, all of that stuff. So my son and I had to actually just do things that were free. And every single night we watched 9 innings of baseball. He didn't bitch and moan. He was into it. As a matter of fact, he was looking forward to it. What time's the game tonight, he would say. And for 2.5 hours, all summer long, we sat on the couch there in the living room and we talked and we made fun of things and we bonded and we spent real serious father-son time. Baseball did that. Have a catch, Dad. That's what baseball means. And you can't beat fun at the old ballpark. Now I want to give you we're gonna do a little expanded version of this, but I do want to give you an example of what this is all about. When I say can't beat fun at the old ballpark, I am specifically in my mind talking about this. Watch this. This came from a couple of nights ago. This truly is can't beat fun at the old ballpark.
Pause, here it is, and knuckle back our way. And a fine catch down below. You wear a Mason Wynn shirt, jersey, you better have good hands.
Can we just say, you ain't seen his face yet. Where do you see this kid's face? It's the greatest thing that has ever happened to this kid. He's at the ball game with his mom. I don't know if Dad's in the picture or what. This kid's at the ball game with his mom. He's got his little brother there. Apparently the kid made a nice snag because the whole crowd went, oh! And now they're talking about it. This is what I'm talking about.
You wear a Mason Wynn shirt, jersey, you better have good hands. Showing them off right there.
Oh,
Look how happy.
Look at that kid, man. Yeah, I know. Pugsy's crying. Nah, those are tears of joy. He's overwhelmed with the emotions. He driving to the ball game today. He's like, man, could you imagine if I got a ball? And he got a ball. This little guy is changed forever.
Yes. Good hands. Showing them off right there. Look how happy he is. There's no crying baseball kid. Give him a contract.
That is can't beat fun at the old ballpark. That's what it's all about. All right, now I do want to show you something else though, because we had an interesting thing that happened here on the south side of Chicago, home to my Chicago White Sox, first place Chicago White Sox. So as many people know, and it really bothers Cub fans. But the Chicago White Sox have fully embraced their relationship with the leader of the Catholic Church, Pope Leo. Pope Leo is a big White Sox fan. He watches games there at the Vatican. He's following the team. He ain't tweeted about us yet. That's what we're waiting for. Waiting for the Pope to actually tweet about our baseball team, which as a Catholic is so weird because, as I always said, the Pope is not a human being. To me, raised a Catholic, and nobody who's raised Catholic. The Pope's not a human being. He's not, a tangible thing. He's a space alien. He's like basically like God himself. He's like here. He's friends with God. He knows God. He isn't anyone that anybody should ever think we could have anything in common with. I grew up a Catholic. The Pope was a space alien. Okay. Suddenly we got a Pope who eats at the same pizza places that I eat at, who loves Italian beef sandwiches, who goes to Mr. Sub, and who roots for my team, the White Sox. And to the extent that he's not just rumored to be a White Sox fan, there's actual video of him at the World Series game when he was just a priest. So the White Sox, having this second-class citizen status here in the city of Chicago, an incredibly Catholic city, has really leaned into the attachment to the Pope. And by the way, everything that the White Sox have done, they have cleared through the Vatican. The White Sox are not trying to exploit or do anything. Everything that they have done has been approved directly by the Pope and the Vatican. So we had Pope night. We had Pope Leo night at the ballpark 2 nights ago. And it was a giveaway. They gave away the big giant Pope Leo hats. Big, big giant Pope hat with a White Sox thing. Oh my God, they're going for like $1,000. Seriously, people are selling. My son wants one. My son's like, how do I get a Pope hat? I'm like, dude, I have no idea. They're like super hard to find in Chicago. We're 3 days after the Pope hat giveaway, and people are still like, anyone know where I can get a Pope hat? But they did something. They did something in the middle of the White Sox game on Pope Leo night that was so successful and has everybody talking about it. And I'm not the only one to say this. I do think I'm the first, because the minute I heard about it, I was like, that should be an every game thing. In the 5th inning on Pope Leo night, the Chicago White Sox, in between the top and the bottom of the 5th, or maybe it was between the 5th and the 6th, I don't know. They brought a priest out onto the mound, a Catholic priest on Pope Leo night. And the Catholic priest then gave the little orders of peace. Peace be with you. Now, if you're not a Catholic and you've never been to Catholic church, then you may not understand what peace be with you is. Peace be with you is a moment in a Catholic mass where everybody stops from the message, and you just turn to the people around you and you offer them peace and you shake hands. Sometimes there's hugging. It was my favorite part of church. My favorite part of mass was the whole peace be with you. You would hope if there was like a girl that you liked, like you would hope that you could be seated close enough to her so that during peace, you could reach over and be like, peace be with you. You know what I mean? You got to shoot your shot wherever. It's a very nice thing about Catholic mass, the wishing of peace. Peace be with you, and unto you, and whatever. They did that at the White Sox game between the 5th and the 6th inning. The priest came out. It's Pope Leo night. And they're like, all right, now everybody, peace be with you. And everybody just took a moment in the stands to shake the hands of the strangers around them, to hug people. It was awesome. And now there's talk that the White Sox are going to do this every game. That this is going to be a thing about White Sox games, that in the 5th inning, you're going to be expected to shake hands and smile at a stranger. Why? Because of Pope Leo. Now, I don't know that it needs to be so wholly Catholic, right? I mean, this doesn't need to be something, well, I'm not Catholic, so I'm not doing it. What? You're not Catholic, so you can't wish goodwill to a stranger? Is that what you're saying? Because remove the bullshit of the religion out of it. It's a very nice thing. So this is what it looked like. I don't know if this is the full video, but this is what it looked like. And I would love to see this be a regular thing. I would love to see this become a thing at White Sox games. Oh, the White Sox, they do that Catholic peace be with you thing. I mean, why not? We are at a time right now in American society where everybody hates everybody, where, this is just a nice thing. Here it is. This is how it went down. This is some priest.
We offer each other a sign of peace because we want to bring peace to the world. And I think the Pope would really love that, whether you're Catholic or not. So everybody should stand and find a new friend around you and offer each other the sign of peace.
It's, just people reaching out and hugging. And again, you don't have to be Catholic. This is just a nice social thing. Instead of, oh, shut your fucking mouth, right? I mean, in the 5th inning, you're going to have to offer peace to a stranger. Gotta love the Pope hats, though. Gotta love those Pope hats, man. I'm telling you, I gotta get me a Pope hat. All right, there you have it. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark. I think that's a nice thing. I think that's something that doesn't necessarily have to be Catholic in nature. I just think it's a nice gesture. And if we got to it because we were celebrating the Catholic Pope, so be it. Let's keep doing it. Every game in the 5th inning, let's offer peace to our stranger neighbor. And that's can't beat fun at the old ballpark. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. It is 3:30. Look at me. I gave you a whale of a show. Why? Because I felt guilty about missing the last couple of days. What with the poor internet and all of that. But hey, man, we hung in there today, huh? We did. We actually did okay. We didn't have any kind of problems. I am really shocked. Really shocked. All right, one more time, folks, please. I didn't hear anything go off in the tip jar today. So as I said, the show is in desperate need. When I say the show, I mean me. So tip the show, help the show out. It's August the 13th. We have $28 to the show's name. We need to be up around 500 for the month. And so obviously 28 is not good. And in fact, I mentioned the number, I usually don't mention numbers. I mentioned that number because that number is so bad that there is no way to justify continuing to do this show. So help out if you can, tip the show, drop a little something, ensure that this kind of independent, nonpartisan, right, left, middle, bullshit, just normal people talking. Conversation, hot topics, current events, opinions for the everyday, normal, working class American. I love my MAGA freaks, and I love my look, you know what? I love Barney just as much as I love Maddie. I shouldn't have used Maddie because Maddie's different. Because Maddie, like I know differently. I love Barney as much as I love Adam. That ain't true. That ain't true. Because Adam irritated. No, I'm kidding. My point is, we could all stand to maybe just offer peace to the stranger around us. Firm handshake. Stop ruling people out of your life based on one little thing that they do differently than you do. And tip the show. All right, that's going to do it. Oh, no. You know what I want to mention? Oh, okay. So on tomorrow's show, I've been working on this, and there's a couple of movies that I wanted to see before I did this. But I've been working on my list of the best films of 2026 so far. I don't go to movie theaters anymore, so I have to wait, and I have to wait for movies to show up on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever. So I'm a little behind on some of my films, but I've compiled a list now of it's actually 7. I've got to get it down to 5, but we're going to call it my 5 best films of 2026 so far. I'll be revealing that. Just going into the weekend, movies you might want to watch. Things that I've seen, because most of these movies don't get promoted the way they used to, unless it's, Barbie, Oppenheimer, or the Odyssey or whatever. But small, normal movies that get released, they don't get promoted. And, you oftentimes have no idea that a movie even existed in theaters until it shows up on Netflix. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. That was really good. So I've put together a list. As I say, currently the list is at 7. I'm going to get it down to 5, but I will be unveiling my half-year mark, the best movies of 2026 so far. None of these movies I'm about to mention here, I don't mean to give this away to put it. I'm not saying they're on the list or anything, but I will say this. I watched a movie last night that I had never heard of, that was released in theaters like 3 months ago. And it was so good. It's called Pressure. Have you heard this movie, Pressure? It stars Brendan Fraser. Remember Brendan Fraser? Brendan Fraser was Encino Man, right? Brendan Fraser was sort of this like totally forgettable, he does stupid guy movies. Turns out Brendan Fraser is an amazing actor. Amazing. I mean, I guess he turned a lot of heads when he did that movie, The Whale, a couple of years ago. But at any rate, he's been in a lot of good things. If you look at Brendan Fraser's acting career, you're like, holy shit. Gods and Monsters? Gods and Monsters was excellent, where he played like a gay pool boy. Anyway, Brendan Fraser in the film Pressure stars as General Dwight D. Eisenhower. And it concerns Dwight Eisenhower's decision to go forward with D-Day, despite weather reports that were saying it was going to be a monsoon and all that. It's called Pressure. It is really good. It was really good. He was so good. Brendan Fraser was really good. Andrew Scott, is that the name? I don't know. He played like this British meteorologist. He's the real star of it. I think it's Andrew Scott. He was tremendous. Absolutely terrific. Good movie. I think this is a man's movie. If you like the World War II, if you like the Ike storyline stuff, so it's called Pressure. It's called Pressure. You know, again, I'm not trying to tip my hand as to whether or not that's going to make my top 5 list of the best movies so far for 2026, but it is definitely something I enjoyed. So if you like that kind of thing, Pressure, Eisenhower, and the decision to go or no go on D-Day. It was very good. The other one that I started to watch last night that I got about a half hour into, and I got to tell you, I'm entertained so far. I am definitely entertained. I expect to watch the rest of it tonight if I don't fall asleep while watching it. But that is Michael, the Michael Jackson biography. That was it a flop? I don't know. It's just kind of like I heard like the movie Michael, and then whatever. All of a sudden it's on whatever platform I'm watching it on. Like, so was it not a box office hit, or was it a box office hit? And I just don't even notice box office hits anymore. I don't know. But I liked it. I liked it. I was enjoying. I was enjoying Michael, the story of Michael Jackson. And who is it? Is it his nephew, Jafar Jackson, who is playing Michael? Pretty good. I got to be honest with you. I'm watching this and I'm like, holy shit. Especially like 1980 off the wall version of Michael Jackson just before Thriller. Man, he's nailing him. And by that, I mean Michael Jackson before the nose job. He's just nailing that. Anyway, it's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm going to watch the rest of it. I didn't finish the whole thing, but I got about an hour into it last night and I decided, all right, I'll watch the rest of this on Thursday night. Guys, that's going to do it. I love you all. You're all the best. We gather here every day since 2021, around about noon, so that you can listen to me spew my nonsense. I do appreciate it. I guess that's it. Okay. So I want you to be cool. I want you to not be a dick. I want you to be, the next time you want to tell somebody what for, just shut your mouth and go about your business. Nobody cares. It's not that important. But most importantly, what do I always say? I want you to stay neighborly.